My husband brought home the love child he had with my best friend. I treated him as my own, personally attending to every aspect of his life. I groomed him to become an exceptionally capable heir to the Beijing elite circle. Later, he successfully inherited my husband's company, only to have me committed to a psychiatric hospital. Make sure the doctors inside treat me well. My biological mother got into a car accident because of you. How can someone like you compare to my mother, my husband? Watched from the side, his expression relieved. Qianqian, you finally avenged your mother. After being abused to death, I was reborn. Facing the child my husband brought back, I still smiled and said, don't worry, from now on, he will be my son. I was reborn. Back to the time when I had been married to Qin Tian for 5 years. He brought back a little boy and said to me, Wani, this is Qianqian's child. She drowned and passed away. Let's adopt him, shall we? In my previous life, I had a miscarriage, which damaged my body and made it impossible for me to conceive. Plus, Li Qian was my friend, so I agreed. In this life. As I looked closely at the child, I realized that he bore a striking resemblance to my husband, about 7 points of similarity in his features. How could he be Li Qian's child with someone else? He was clearly Qin Tian's child with my best friend. I pretended not to know and bent down to pat his head. Don't worry, from now on, he will be my son. What's your name, little one? I asked, my voice dripping with gentleness. Seeing me for the first time, he looked at me cautiously and whispered, Auntie, my name is Qin Xiao. My smile froze on my face. Qin Tian quickly explained, his original surname was Zhang, but I thought since we're adopting him together, we might as well change it to mine. I forced another smile. It's fine, that's only right. In my previous life, after we got married, Qin Tian took over the company from me. Since the company headquarters was overseas, it took him 7 years to gradually shift its focus back to the domestic market, so the responsibility of caring for Qin Xiao fell squarely on my shoulders. In my past life, ever since Qin Xiao arrived, no matter how busy Qin Tian was, he would always make sure to spend at least 3 days in the country every month. During those days, he would take Qin Xiao out alone, using the excuse of bonding and building their relationship. I thought he was just afraid of growing distant from Qin Xiao. It never crossed my mind that he was doing it for the sake of reuniting our family of 3. But in this life, he strangely places a great deal of trust in me. I've been taking care of Qin Xiao with the utmost devotion, buying him the finest designer clothes, having his food air freighted from abroad daily, and even hiring top-tier tutors for his early education. Qin Tian was deeply moved. That evening, he took my hand and, with a soft, gentle voice, tried to lead me to the bedroom. After 5 years of marriage, I had always thought he was a man of a cold, distant nature. The last time he showed such tenderness was 2 years ago. That night, he was incredibly passionate in bed. I couldn't bring myself to refuse him, and the next day I was in so much pain I couldn't get out of bed. What hurt even more than that night was that I had a miscarriage. Qin Tian rushed me to the hospital, where the doctor shook his head and told me the damage to my body meant I might never be able to conceive again. Qin Tian knelt before me, slapping his own face, saying it was all his fault for being so rough. At the time, I felt partly to blame for not even realizing I was pregnant. What's more, Qin Tian was an only son, and he had always been good to me. I didn't want a divorce, yet it seemed their family line would end with me, so I treated Qin Xiao, who brought him back, as my own child, nurturing him with all my heart. Yet, all the love I poured out was merely paving the way for my own demise. In this life, the very sight of Qin Tian sickens me, let alone the thought of any intimacy. Qin Tian, however, grew intrigued, his hand slowly sliding up along mine. I got goosebumps all over. He chuckled softly. Wani, are you that sensitive? I looked up, my face flushed with embarrassment. I'll go get that. I opened the drawer and pulled out a box of expired Okamoto 001 condoms, accidentally knocking something to the floor. Qin Tian followed her gaze, and his expression shifted slightly. The bracelet that had fallen from the drawer was one Li Qian had given to Qin Tian earlier. Li Qian is a student from a disadvantaged background that my family sponsors. Ever since she got into a university in our city, we started meeting often and eventually became close friends. After seeing the online meme about beware of fire, theft, and your best friend, I joked, let's promise we won't fall for the same guy. Okay, because I won't be stepping aside for you. My family is wealthy, and I've never had to give up anything, not even men. Li Qian is beautiful, and Qin Tian is both talented and good-looking. They rarely communicate when they meet. At the wedding, Qin Tian even joked about pairing Li Qian with one of our groomsmen. I always thought there was absolutely no way between them. Who would have guessed they were hiding it from me all along? their child is already 4 years old. And we've only been married for 5 years. After I got married, Li Qian said she was going back to the countryside to help develop the rural areas. We gradually lost touch. Who could have imagined that Qin Tian would take her abroad? Out there, Li Qian gets to share in his romantic adventures and carefree life, while back here, I'm the one taking care of the home and the children. In my past life, when he returned to the country and took Qin Xiao out, he didn't let me come along. It was all because Li Qian was there too. They were reuniting as a family of 3. How could I, an outsider, possibly intrude? He really has it all, doesn't he? After Li Qian went back to the countryside, Qin Tian and I mentioned her even less. She had gotten a lot of prayer bracelets from the temple before, and gave 2 of them to Qin Tian and me. I never saw Qin Tian wear his, it just sat in a drawer. I deliberately dropped the bracelet on the floor, and it worked like a charm. I picked up the bracelet and examined it closely in my hand, murmuring softly, "Oh, this is the bracelet Li Qian gave you, isn't it? It's a shame the one she gave me got broken by accident." I held up the bracelet toward Qin Tian. "Honey, Li Qian said this was blessed at the temple. Why don't you wear it?" Qin Tian straightened up, his eyes avoiding mine. "Isn't it more appropriate for a man in business to wear a watch?" I looked puzzled. "Really, but I've seen plenty of clients wearing sandalwood bracelets." He felt a bit guilty and added, "I should wear the one you prayed for me. Why would I wear one from someone else?" "Fine," I pouted. Qin Tian lost interest, suddenly stood up, and left with, "I remember I still have some documents to finish. You rest first." He strode away. I watched his hurried steps, my gaze turning icy. It doesn't matter. He's going abroad soon anyway. Before he left, he kissed my forehead and said, "Wani, you've always been a top student since childhood and learned business from your family. It's Qin Zhao's good fortune to have you as his teacher." I smiled sweetly and said, "Don't worry, you handle the outside world, and I'll take care of things at home." He didn't go into as much detail as he did in my previous life. This time, he trusted me completely and only said one thing, then told Qin Xiao to listen to me more, before turning around with his suitcase and leaving. Following the trajectory of my previous life, Qin Tian would still need 5 more years to fully shift his focus to the domestic market. During these 5 years, I would be the sole master of the house, with the Jiang family backing me up. Dealing with a child would be a waste of my capabilities. Making Qin Xiao fall ill or arranging some accident, as long as I plan it well, no one would suspect me. Even if Qin Tian comes back someday, he can't openly give me a hard time for an adopted son without any proof. Qin Zhao's soft little hand suddenly brushed against me. I looked down. The 4-year-old only came up to my thigh, and he was now tentatively trying to take my hand. With his big, doe-like eyes glistening, he asked me tentatively, "Mom, can I take a day off today?" He called me Mom. For a moment, my heart softened. He took my hand completely, the same hand that had pried my fingers one by one from the car door when I refused to go to the mental hospital. He said to me, "How can someone like you compare to my mother?" Her hand was warm, yet a shiver ran down my spine. I gently withdrew my hand and said softly, "If you don't want to study, then don't. Go play your games." Qin Xiao, who had been a little downcast when I pulled my hand away, immediately cheered up. Watching his retreating figure, a wicked thought crossed my mind. I certainly wasn't going to slave away tutoring him again like in my past life, just to mold him into a national top scorer on the college entrance exams. If he likes to play, let him have his fun. I had someone take him to the mall, where he could buy any toy he wanted, and I also got him a PS5 and a Switch. He gained a lot of face in front of his classmates, and for that little sense of superiority, he would bring friends home to play games every day. Qin Xiao played games every day until late at night, and I didn't stop him, only reminding him to sleep at dawn, which caused him to doze off in class during the day. The teacher called me to the school. "Mrs. Qin, why is your son Xiao falling asleep in class every day? Is he not getting enough rest at night?" With a gentle smile, I handed the teacher the Tiffany bracelet I had just bought. "Teacher, you know our family's situation. We are well off. Xiao is going to inherit the family business. He has to watch financial news videos every night at home. Just make sure he's looked after at school and doesn't get hurt." Looking at the bracelet in her hand, something that would take months of her salary to afford, the teacher smiled and said, "That makes perfect sense. A student like Qin Xiao is starting from a completely different place than the rest of us." I dragged Qin Xiao home. Seeing that I wasn't going to scold him, he finally relaxed and even let go of my hand. The teachers didn't pay him much mind either. As long as he wasn't being bullied at school, that was good enough. For the sake of appearances, I had people recommend top-tier tutors for me. I enrolled him in every high-end course imaginable, piano, violin, painting, dance, golf, equestrian. Everyone in our circle knew just how much effort I was putting into this adopted child, for in my past life, I was sent to a mental hospital. Everyone knew what was going on, but since Qin Tian had completely become a symbol of capital, even though they sympathized with me, no one dared to speak up for me. Only Zhang Huai, the son of my former nanny Zhang Ma, whom I had supported, came to visit me at the mental hospital, believed that I wasn't crazy, and helped me call the police. Unfortunately, no one dared to cross Qin Tian, so I remained locked up in the mental hospital, where doctors and nurses tortured me day and night, forcing medication, electrotherapy, and mental torment, which eventually turned me into a real mental patient. Zhang Huai not only lost his job in this city but also got into a car accident, resulting in the amputation of both his legs. He was only 25 when his future was taken away. Thinking about all this, I feel overwhelming guilt. I found Zhang Ma. Zhang Ma, do you have a son in high school? If you're willing, let him call me his godmother. I'll cover all his living expenses, and I'll send him to the best school. My constant indulgence of Qin Xiao meant he never learned to rein himself in, even in front of his teachers. His reputation as a hopeless case spread, and gradually, teachers became reluctant to teach him, fearing it would tarnish their own reputations. Qin Tian messaged me on WeChat to ask about Qin Zhao's studies. I sent him a photo of Qin Zhao's back as he was reading a comic book, with the caption, "The kid's working hard and being diligent, you can rest easy." I also bought Qin Xiao his favorite little cakes and snacks every single day. Give him some rich, hearty meals every day. The kid grows fast. By the age of 8, he had reached my chest height, and his height and weight surpassed those of his peers. Every time Qin Tian was about to come back, I would tell Qin Xiao not to tell his dad that he could play games at home, or else he wouldn't be able to play anymore. Qin Xiao now trusts me wholeheartedly and hasn't mentioned any of this to Qin Tian. I hired a detective to follow them after Qin Tian took Qin Xiao out. The detective sent me lots of photos and videos of their family of 3 eating, going to amusement parks, and traveling, as well as recordings of their conversations. In the recordings, Qin Xiao calls Qin Tian dad and Li Qian mom. I haven't told anyone that Zhang Huai is my godson, but I visit him whenever I have time. He carried himself with an upright posture, and there was a noble air in his every gesture that ordinary people simply didn't possess. It was then that I suddenly learned Qin Tian had already shifted the company's strategic focus back to the domestic market. 5. Qin Tian seemed to possess an almost preternatural foresight. He was unstoppable in the business world, not only having shifted the company's focus domestically but also securing several highly lucrative projects. It took 6 years in my previous life, but this time it's done so early. It suddenly became a hot topic in the industry, and many clients are rushing to collaborate. But in my previous life, Qin Tian only got a few major projects in the country with the help of my brother. I didn't expect this life to be so different from the last. I took Qin Xiao to the airport to pick him up. Arriving at the airport, we waited for over half an hour but he never showed up. He didn't answer my call, so I had to call his assistant. "What time is Qin Tian's flight? Why can't I see him?" His assistant quickly replied, "Madam, the CEO said he had something urgent and left the airport directly after landing." Strange, the company matters have been taken care of, but instead of going home right away, where did he go? Doesn't he miss Qin Xiao? In the evening, Qin Tian's friends threw him a celebration party, and when Qin Tian returned, he was completely drunk, reeking of alcohol. Qian, I'm sorry, now that I have money, I still can't. Burp. He looked at me with a dazed expression, about to lunge forward. I quickly stepped aside, and Qin Tian lost his balance, falling onto the sofa and vomiting into the trash can. I quickly pulled Qin Xiao over. Xiao, you haven't seen your dad in a long time. He must miss you a lot. Go talk to him. Qin Xiao looked at Qin Tian with some disdain, frowning at me, clearly not wanting to go over. I spoke to him gently. You're not a little kid anymore. You're a big boy now, so you need to be considerate of your dad. He works very hard to earn money. I handed him the hangover soup. Make your dad drink this, or he'll feel awful. After throwing up, Qin Tian's head cleared, and he started recognizing people again. Looking at his son, whom he hadn't seen in half a year, he called out, Xiao. Qin Xiao looked impatient, took a few steps forward, but suddenly threw the bowl when he got close to Qin Tian. Dad, you stink. Qin Xiao has been spoiled by me to the point where he refuses to cooperate at the slightest inconvenience. In fact, I also find it smelly. Seeing the disappointment in Qin Tian's eyes, I quickly said, honey, don't overthink it, he's just a child. Let me go talk to him. I made a quick exit. I was afraid I Wouldn't be able to hold back my laughter hearing his own son, whom he doted on, say something like that. Must have been really hard for Qin Tian. 6 Early the next morning, I called Qin Xiao out. Seeing Qin Tian already seated at the dining table, Qin Xiao hesitated awkwardly for a long moment before reluctantly uttering a single word, "Dad." In an effort to quickly build a rapport with him, Qin Tian personally helped Qin Xiao with his homework that evening. Before long, a deafening roar erupted from the study. It's true, no one can stay sane while helping a child with homework, especially when that child is Qin Xiao, the academic disaster of this lifetime. Your handwriting is a mess, you can't spell half these words, and you can't even do simple multiplication. What have you been learning in school? Qin Xiao immediately burst into loud, wailing sobs inside the room. I rushed in and pulled Qin Xiao close, my heart aching for him. He's just a child, why are you yelling at him? You can teach him patiently. Qin Tian was furious. He's 8 years old, how is that just a child? What kind of mother are you? Didn't you tell me not to worry? Qin Xiao was terrified, but we were close. He saw me as his best friend and couldn't stand anyone shouting at me. He shoved Qin Tian with all his might. Why are you yelling? You've never taken care of me since I was little. It's always been my mom, and now you're yelling at her. Oh, so this time you're standing up for me, but I guess he's yelling at Qin Tian not because he's defending me, but because he's spoiled and can't stand being scolded. Before, when Qin Tian brought Li Qian back, it was mostly to build a relationship, so Qin Xiao wouldn't feel too distant from them, so I imagine they were indulging Qin Xiao, agreeing to everything he wanted. So you didn't see Qin Xiao's true nature. Huh? Seeing Qin Tian staring at Qin Xiao in disbelief, his eyes brewing a storm, I quickly pushed Qin Xiao out and explained to Qin Tian kindly. Xiao Xiao is smart, just can't sit still. If he puts his mind to it, studying is a piece of cake. He's now successful and his temper has grown too. He scolded me mercilessly. Jiang Wani, are you not putting in effort because he's not your biological child? I widened my eyes and glared at him. Qin Tian, what do you mean? I'm raising the kids at home alone, and instead of understanding me, you slander me like this. Go ask around, see how much I've done for Qin Xiao. Seeing me cry, Qin Tian softened his expression and tried to wipe my tears. I covered my face and ran off without looking back. Qin Xiao, who was standing outside the door, saw that Qin Tian had made me cry. He charged in like a whirlwind and started punching and kicking Qin Tian. Why did you have to come back? Every time you're here, my mom cries. Why didn't you just die out there? I waited outside for a while, and when I heard Qin Tian realize what he was about to do and was going to lay hands on Qin Xiao, I rushed in and held Qin Xiao in my arms. Qin Tian, what are you doing? Do you want to hurt the child? You don't care about Xiao Xiao, but I do. Come on, Xiao Xiao, let's go to your grandpa's house. With that, I rushed out of the house with Qin Xiao in my arms. In the car, seeing Qin Xiao in the passenger seat, tears and snot streaming down his face, I almost couldn't help but laugh. In my past life, they teamed up to deceive and hurt me. In this life, my first step is to sow discord between them and make Qin Xiao hate his father to death. In the car, Qin Tian kept calling me, but I didn't answer any of them. By the time I arrived at my dad's place, I was having a midnight snack with Qin Xiao, and he showed up. Wani, I was impulsive and misunderstood you this afternoon. Please forgive me. I was completely heartbroken and cried. If you don't trust me, then let's get a divorce. The child can go with whoever they want. I've been married to Qin Tian for so many years, and the company was handed over from me. If he divorces me at this time, it won't just affect his reputation in the circle, but if it escalates, it could even cause the stock price to drop. He's a businessman, the best at weighing the pros and cons, and he would absolutely never agree to it. Seeing that I wasn't going to forgive him, Qin Tian said a few perfunctory nice words and left. The next day, he came back with bags and bags, sweet-talked my parents, and begged me to come home. Of course, I wouldn't stay at my dad's place forever. I still wanted to torment him, so after he apologized, I took Qin Xiao and went home. Qin Tian returned, and after finishing work at the company every day, he would tutor Qin Xiao with his homework. Unfortunately, Qin Xiao had already passed the best age for cultivating discipline, and with his usual indulgence, he would either doze off or get distracted whenever he saw a book. Furious, Qin Tian smashed Qin Xiao's game console and tore up his comic books. He then grabbed a feather duster and started whipping Qin Xiao viciously. To stop me from intervening, he locked the door from the inside. Don't you realize you're a top scorer in the Gaokao? You're supposed to take over my company one day. How can you not even grasp basic multiplication and division? These were the words that burst from Qin Tian in a fit of blind rage. My heart sank as I stood outside, eating fruit and frantically pounding on the door. So I'm not the only one blessed with the good fortune of rebirth. But why does a piece of trash like Qin Tian get it? In my previous life, Qin Xiao did indeed become the top scorer in the National College entrance exam under my careful tutelage. He was clever, articulate, studied abroad, and eventually returned to take over the company Qin Tian had already paved the way for. You could say he reached the pinnacle of success. All he does in this life is play games, eat well and be lazy. And he probably won't even get into a decent high school. I thought of a few other things. Why is Qin Tian so confident in letting me raise Qin Xiao? In his previous life, Qin Tian always needed my brother's help. But why is he thriving in the business world this time around? He had past life experience in the business world, allowing him to understand both himself and his competitors, foresee industry trends, and thus accomplish 6 years' worth of work in just 4. He even fantasized about me turning his son into a top scorer in the college entrance exam if he ever found out about my reincarnation and guessed my intent for revenge. His first move would be to kill me. Qin Tian is now the industry leader, and there are no shortage of people eager to curry favor with him if he wants to do something to me. He has plenty of ways and means. Qin Xiao, wearing only his underwear, lay on the bed wailing. He hit me as soon as he came back. He doesn't love me at all. Why did he come back? I hate him so much. Mom, divorce him. And I'll stay with you. Shoo. I quickly covered his mouth. Watch your mouth. Your father is the absolute authority at the company. If you push him too far, he might really beat you to death, and I won't be able to stop him. Qin Xiao reluctantly closed his mouth. My heart ached as tears streamed down my face. Poor child. He shouldn't beat you like this just because you're not his biological son. 7. Yet Qin Xiao knew he was the biological son. Qin Tian was his biological father, yet showed him no mercy whatsoever. Qin Xiao's gaze was icy, filled with unmistakable hatred. He was an ungrateful, wretched heart, nursing grudges and forgetting kindness. Mom, you're my real mom. If he hits me again, you have to help me. Mom, I said. Xiao Xiao, you're my own son. Who else would I protect if not you? Xiao Qin and I were over here, sniffling and crying. Qin Tian and Li Qian were over there, lost in their passionate embrace. 8. The next day, Qin Tian asked me, do you remember your old friend Li Qian? I suddenly looked up at him, puzzled as to why he suddenly mentioned Li Qian. I suppressed the malice in my heart and, frowning, said, of course I remember. Isn't she dead? Why are you bringing her up now? She didn't die. That year, she fell into the water in the countryside and was swept downstream, becoming a vegetable. She never woke up. A few days ago, her family sent her to a big hospital in the capital, and surprisingly, she woke up. She asked me to help her find a job. I remember she was your schoolmate before, with excellent grades, the kind who always won scholarships. Why not let her tutor Xiao Xiao? Since you two are good friends, you can trust her more. I widened my eyes in surprise. Could it be that Qin Tian suspects I've also been reborn and is trying to trick me into admitting it? I quickly asked. What do you mean didn't die? She just became a vegetable. After all, Qin Tian was a man who had navigated the cutthroat world of business. Not a trace of guilt or probing could be detected in his words. He explained to me that when Qin Xiao was 3, Li Qian was swept away by floodwaters while helping with flood relief in the countryside. The family searched for a long time but couldn't find her, so they had no choice but to let us adopt Qin Xiao. Later, someone contacted the Li family. Li Qian was in a small hospital, in a vegetative state, and was almost out of money for her medical bills. The Li family was poor. Paying for Li Qian's medical treatment meant there was no money left to support Qin Xiao, so they never told us about this. The explanation was full of holes, but I pretended not to notice and just went along with whatever he said. I quickly suppressed the malice in my heart and said with a smile, sure, when can she start? She can start tomorrow. I'm going to find out if Li Qian is really still alive or if Qin Tian is bluffing me. Seeing that I agreed, Qin Tian's face, which had been gloomy for days, finally showed a hint of a smile. Wani, let's go to bed. As he said that, he tried to take my hand, but I quickly told him I was on my period and refused him. I feel sick. Li Qian is really still alive, and she's standing right in front of me. It turns out that Qin Tian didn't show up that day when he returned to China, and it was because he went to settle Li Qian. Li Qian is wearing a white dress, with light makeup, looking full of youthful vitality. Who would guess she's over 30? The breeze gently lifted the hem of her skirt as she smiled with a charming grace. Wani, it's been a long time. A look of delighted surprise spread across my face as I pulled her into a tight hug. Qian, when I heard you had died, I was heartbroken for the longest time. I never imagined you'd be alright. They say what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. My eyes welled up with tears. It felt exactly like a reunion with a long-lost friend. Qin Tian stood by, watching us with a smile. Li Qian's smile widened, a flicker of pity and smugness in her eyes. Indeed, she said, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Come on in. 9. I pushed Qin Xiao over. Xiao, this is the impoverished student your mother sponsored back then, and also a good friend of your mother. You should call her Aunt Li. It wasn't clear whether it was the impoverished student or Aunt Li that made Li Qian uncomfortable. Her smile was almost slipping off her face. Qin Xiao widened his eyes, his small head filled with big confusion. He didn't understand why the two mothers could meet, nor why he had to call his mother Aunt Li. Qin Tian immediately stepped forward to change the subject. Qian, you've just recovered from a serious illness. You've worked hard. Go on in. Watching Qin Tian carry Li Qian's bag, I suddenly understood why Li Qian survived this life. The problem lies with Qin Tian. Qin Tian has been reborn, and he was reborn earlier than me. In his previous life, Li Qian was attacked by thugs abroad, but in this life, he took preventive measures and saved her in time. Qin Tian treated Li Qian like a treasure, letting her stay in the bedroom next to his study. Every night, he worked in his study, and after I fell asleep, he would sneak into Li Qian's room. I pretended not to know and swapped the milk they gave me every night, which was laced with sleeping pills, with Qin Zhao's milk. Over the years at home, everyone in the villa has become my trusted confidant. I even installed pinhole cameras in every room. After Li Qian arrived, she doted on Qin Xiao as if he were the apple of her eye. It seems Qin Tian must have privately warned him that the time for mother and son to acknowledge each other had not yet come. Aside from fooling around with Li Qian, Qin Tian was also quite busy at other times in his past life. He was a complete loser. He even had to rely on his son to get back at me. Given a chance to change his fate this time around, there's no way he'd let it slip through his fingers. Leveraging his deep understanding of industry trends and government policies, my company, Qin Tian's, is absolutely thriving. I watched all this unfold in silence, finding it utterly ridiculous. Go ahead, no matter how big you think you are, you'll never escape my control. For now, I'll just treat him as my employee, because I won't let him live. That night, I didn't give Qin Xiao the milk with sleeping pills. After Li Qian and Qin Tian finished, Li Qian sneaked to check on Qin Xiao. It was already 3 a.m., and Qin Xiao was still hiding under the blanket playing games. Li Qian was shocked and scolded him. Xiao, what time is it? Why aren't you sleeping yet? You have class tomorrow. Qin Tian heard the noise, ran over to check, was furious, and beat Qin Xiao again, smashing his phone in the process. Qin Xiao believed it was all Li Qian's fault, that she was the one who caused him to be beaten. It's all your fault. Why did you have to say it? Can't you stand to see me doing well? Are you happy now that he's beating me? Qin Xiao threw a tantrum. I hate you. You're not my mother. My mother is Jiang Wani. Get out of here. Li Qian threw a tantrum. Qin Tian, what did you tell me? You said Jiang Wani is smart and capable, and that I could trust Qin Xiao to him. Explain to me why Xiao is like this now. Tell me. I only said one thing about Xiao, and he thinks that woman is better than his own mother. You're not my real mother. I don't want you. Get out. I only want Jiang Mom. Qin Tian lowered his voice and roared, stop arguing. Jiang Wani is still at home. Sorry. Jiang Wani took sleeping pills and can't hear you. The next day, Qin Tian bought me several limited edition bags, all of which require additional purchases, and are hard for ordinary people to get. Wani, you've worked so hard all these years. I bought you a few handbags. I glanced at them. The styles aren't nice, and I don't like the colors either. Give them to my parents. Fine. Qin Tian swallowed his anger in a rare moment of humility. He said, Wani, your health has never been good, and Qin Xiao is so unruly. Raising him has been a struggle for you. Now that Li Qian is still alive, and Qin Xiao is her biological son, let's give him back to Li Qian. My eyes widened in disbelief. Xiao has called me mom for so many years, and now you want me to just give him back to Li Qian. Xiao has been accustomed to a comfortable life since childhood, with the kind of conditions in Li Qian's household. Do you really think he'll be well off there? Qin Tian tried to reason. But Xiao is Li Qian's own flesh and blood. After all, how can you bear to separate mother and child? If you ever miss Xiao in the future, I'll take you to see him. How does that sound? Honestly, I couldn't care less, but I threw a full-blown tantrum and absolutely refused to agree. I said that without Qin Xiao at home, I'd be too lonely and bored, hinting that I'd only agree if Qin Tian let me go to work at the company. Qin Xiao had been downstairs playing video games with his friends. When he heard the news, he completely lost it. He stormed over and asked me angrily, "Mom, don't you want me anymore?" I expertly started to cry, a trick I learned from Li Qian. She said if you don't blink or move your eyes, they'll get sore and start watering in under a minute. Xiao Xiao, how could I possibly abandon you? But Li Qian is, after all, your biological mother. And Qin Tian said my health is poor, and taking care of you is exhausting, so they want to send you away. I've been relying on each other with you for so many years, and it's really painful for me. I thought Qin Xiao would rely on me a bit in this life and wouldn't want to leave me, but what he said next completely broke my heart. My friends told me long ago that Li Qian's family is poor, and if I go back with her, we'll only live a hard life. They all say Li Qian's husband is dead, and if I go back with her, I can't call Qin Tian dad anymore, and they won't play with me anymore. Hee, I was in tears. It's okay, Qin Tian told me that even if Li Qian takes you back, you can call us godfather and godmother. That's different, Qin Xiao exclaimed. Mom, you're a young lady from the Beijing elite circle. What kind of person is Li Qian to be worthy of being my mother? Li Qian, who had just walked in, happened to overhear those words. She had heard that Qin Xiao was back and rushed over excitedly to pick up her son, only to be met with a harsh rebuff that left her standing there, stunned. I quickly cleared my throat. Xiao Xiao, mind your tone. Apologize to Qian right now. Qin Xiao sneered, walked up to Li Qian, and gave her a contemptuous look. Since you heard, let me make this clear. Don't even dream of being my mother. You're not worthy. The only one who can be my mother is Jiang Wani, the princess of the Beijing socialite circle. Then he strutted off arrogantly. 11 I was dumbfounded. In this life, I have indeed indulged Qin Xiao, letting his true nature run wild, but I thought that interacting with the kids in his circle would at least teach him some manners. To my surprise, he didn't learn a thing. But then again, everyone in the circle fawns over Qin Tian, hoping for a second glance, and indulges their own children in currying favor with Qin Xiao. How could someone who never has to humble themselves possibly learn manners? But seeing Li Qian heartbroken, I was overjoyed. Qin Tian was furious upon hearing about it, had Qin Xiao restrained, and whipped him with a belt. A childhood without 7 wolves is an incomplete childhood. I thought Qin Zhao's childhood would be lacking, but in the end, he got it all. Qin Zhao's behavior earlier disgusted me a bit too, so seeing him get beaten brought me some satisfaction. Qin Xiao was far from pleased. He writhed like a fat maggot on the ground, but pinned down by 2 adults. His struggles were futile. Qin Tian was crying and cursing. Li Qian also started crying, pulling at Qin Tian to make him stop hitting. I joined in the act, pleading for Qin Xiao, but this beating not only served no educational purpose, it would only make Qin Xiao hate him and Li Qian even more. Qin Tian's face turned red with anger as he pointed viciously at him. You're already 13, it's too late to study now. Starting tomorrow, you're coming to the company with me. 12 Qin Xiao has been spoiled by me, neither smart, nor patient, nor meticulous. He is simply not fit to take over. Qin Tian taught him step by step, but Qin Xiao couldn't understand at all. Qin Tian got so angry that he hit and scolded Qin Xiao, and many people in the company were watching the show. I think it's probably because I taught Qin Xiao too well in my previous life, leading Qin Tian to have overly high expectations and a strong desire for his son to succeed. But Qin Xiao is not good at studying, has poor comprehension, and doesn't understand many things. Even a legitimate heir starts from the bottom of the company. As soon as Qin Tian arrived, he started explaining his work to Qin Xiao. How could Qin Xiao possibly understand? With Qin Xiao in tow, Qin Tian was swamped every day. Tasks that should have taken 10 minutes ended up taking half an hour just for Qin Xiao to grasp the basics. This forced Qin Tian to work late into the night every day, and he had no choice but to offload some of his duties onto me. Before long, I ended up taking over most of the company's affairs. Unfortunately, Qin Xiao still couldn't keep up with Qin Tian's teachings. In the office, Qin Tian actually slapped Qin Xiao across the face. With a swollen face, Qin Xiao ran out of the company. Qin Xiao was young and hot-headed, and at an age where he was particularly concerned about his reputation. So many people in the company looked at Qin Xiao, showing expressions of disdain, pity, sympathy, and more. It severely wounded Qin Zhao's pride. After being scolded by Qin Tian again, Qin Xiao grabbed the glass nameplate on the desk and struck Qin Tian several times. Qin Tian's leg was bleeding profusely, and he looked in disbelief at the child he had poured his heart and soul into. Qin Xiao was pinned down, gasping for breath, and screaming hysterically. I said I didn't want to come, why are you forcing me? Do you want me dead? Anyway, you don't like me, so just kill me directly, okay? Li Qian, who had come to deliver lunch, heard the commotion and rushed over in a panic to cover Qin Zhao's mouth. Stop it, do you want to kill your dad, Qin? She's just a kid. Don't take it to heart, though battered in body and spirit. What chilled Qin Tian even more was that Li Qian's first concern wasn't for his injuries, but for what he might do to Qin Xiao. Qin Xiao didn't appreciate the gesture. She shoved Li Qian away and started hitting her. Stop pretending to care. This is all your fault. Why don't you just die? I was in the office next door, listening to the whole thing firsthand, and only rushed over when they had calmed down a bit. Stop fighting. Stop fighting. Shouldn't we hurry and send Qin Tian to the hospital? Qin Xiao was pampered by me to the point of being weak. He looks strong, but in reality, he has no strength. Qin Tian suffered a minor concussion, but it's nothing serious. The doctor said he just needs to rest. After examining him, the doctor also checked Li Qian and prescribed some medicinal wine for promoting blood circulation and reducing swelling. 13. After everyone else left, Qin Tian called me over. I walked over, and Qin Tian suddenly reached out, grabbed my neck, his gaze cold and sinister. Jiang Wani, you've also been reborn, haven't you? You deliberately raised Qin Xiao to be like this. You're happy to see us at each other's throats like this, aren't you? I can't admit to that. I'm not confident I can completely crush him yet, and he's only suspicious now. With no evidence, Qin Tian's strength is immense. It feels like he's really going to strangle me, and I'm about to suffocate. A young man's voice came from outside. Is this Mr. Qin's ward? Mr. Jiang had a blessed bracelet made for Mr. Qin at Putua Temple, for safety, and it has been kept there for blessing. I heard that President Qin was injured, so I rushed back from the temple. Please deliver this to President Qin, and I hope he recovers soon. Hearing this, Qin Tian was momentarily stunned. Finally letting go, I sat on the ground coughing for a long time before I had the strength to get angry. Qin Tian, are you sick or something? What's this about rebirth? What revenge? Are you dreaming? Seeing my reaction, Qin Tian muttered to himself, could it be because of that? I looked at him with feigned shock and confusion, pretending not to understand what he was saying. He seemed to have convinced himself. Wani, I'm sorry, I just lost my mind for a moment. I didn't mean it. Fighting back tears, I shoved him away. He called for the person outside the door, and a young girl hurried in, holding an ornate box. Qin Tian asked, you're saying Chairman Jiang obtained this for me? It's not easy to obtain things from Putua Temple. You can't just buy them. It depends on fate and your sincerity. To put it bluntly, it requires full prostration and deep reverence. President Jiang went all the way from the foot of Mount Putua, performing the full 3 bows and 9 kowtows on his knees to the Putua Temple, just to obtain this prayer bracelet. As he spoke, the man cast an envious glance at him before finally handing the brocade box to Qin Tian. Qin Tian looked at me with a guilty expression, saying, I'm sorry, Wani, this is all my fault. As a young lady from a wealthy family, I simply cannot tolerate the slightest disrespect. Ignoring Qin Tian's attempts to stop me and his apologies, I stormed home in a rage, packed a few things, and went back to the Jiang family. I've been wanting to go home for a while now. All that information I worked so hard to gather can finally be put to good use. Besides, Qin Tian is starting to get suspicious of me. It's better to deal with this sooner rather than later. As Qin Tian's business grew, so did his boldness. It's not impossible that he might want to get rid of me. All that would be needed afterward is to fabricate evidence and concoct a story. I handed over all the evidence I collected of Qin Tian's illegal activities and business competition over the years to my brother, and I also sent him all the company contracts. 13. Qin Tian rushed over to my place, begging me to come back. My parents gave him a real tongue lashing. I made him wait a few days, putting on airs, before I finally went back, and even then, I wasn't exactly thrilled about it. Because of the whole Qin Xiao situation, Qin Tian and Li Qian had a falling out and started arguing all the time. The old sweetness between them was gone. To make matters worse, there was a new secretary in Qin Tian's office who seemed to have a bit of a thing for him. That day, Nanny Zhang suddenly rushed to me and said, Madam, it's terrible, Mr. Qin has summoned Ah Huai. When I hurried to the basement, Qin Tian was sitting imposingly on the sofa. Zhang Huai was tied up and forced to kneel on the ground, his face covered in injuries. Seeing me arrive, Qin Tian sneered, Wani, you got here quite fast. Seems you have plenty of people keeping an eye out for you. I sat down on the sofa beside me. I'm the lady of the house and the vice president at work. Is it strange to have a few people under me? Then I asked him, Zhang Huai is my man, what did he do wrong that you want to arrest him? Qin Tian sneered, Zhang Huai comes from an ordinary background, with a father who needs 7 million yuan worth of special medicine every 3 months. How can he still be living so well now? I only found out after investigating that Wani has been supporting their family financially. I'm curious, why are you so kind to them? Was it Zhang Huai who gave you the bracelet at the hospital that day? I met Qin Tian's gaze without fear and said, of course. It's because Zhang Huai has done me a favor. Ha 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 ha. Qin Tian's smile faded. So you knew too that we've been reborn. He glared at me with a sinister look. It must have been exhausting to set up such a grand scheme. Huh. I slowly adjusted my cuff, speaking calmly. It's fine. I didn't have to pour my heart and soul into teaching Qin Xiaoqing in my previous life. Qin Tian waved his hand, signaling someone to take Zhang Huai out. There are cameras everywhere in the house. And that new secretary at the company, she's yours too, isn't she? She must have handed over all those documents to you, right? Jiang Wani, who did you hand the stuff over to? Did you submit it, or did you give it to the Jiang family? He firmly pressed his hand on my shoulder, his eyes filled with murderous intent. Tell me, who did you give it to? I smiled gently on the surface, but my words cut deep. Guess who I gave it to? Your competitors, the Jiang family, and the relevant departments. Qin Tian was overwhelmed with anger, suddenly vomited blood, and convulsed before collapsing to the ground. I frowned in disgust. My favorite dress, 14. Everything Qin Tian ate and drank was poison. The mastermind behind it was quickly found. Qin Shao looked at the now paralyzed Qin Tian with an indifferent expression. Everyone says I'm a lost cause, that you and mom should just have another kid. The main account is ruined, so you have to start a new one. But I figure, as long as you're dead, the company will have to be mine. Qin Tian can't take it anymore. His eyes are wide with anger, and his voice trembles. You ungrateful son, I'm going to kill you. Li Qian suddenly appeared out of nowhere, tightly hugging Qin Shao, crying out, how could you say that? Qin Tian only wants to help you succeed. He's poured his heart and soul into nurturing you. You must understand that spoiling a child is like killing them. That bitch Jiang Wani just wants to ruin you. Qin Shao pushed her away forcefully. Get away from me. He almost killed me, and you still say it's for my own good. I smiled and had them take the mother and son away. Mr. Qin can't go to work like this. Help him take a leave. If HR has any questions, just tell the truth. Zhang Huai chimed in from the side. Right, Mr. Qin was poisoned by his illegitimate son and is now bedridden. Qin Tian glared furiously at Zhang Huai. Don't you dare. What are you afraid of? That people will find out you have a 14-year-old illegitimate son, or that Qin Zhao's future will be completely ruined. I leaned down, patted his face, and twisted the knife. What a shame. You've looked out for him in every way, but he's too ungrateful to appreciate your efforts. How does it feel to be betrayed by the one you love most? A vein throbbed on Qin Tian's forehead. You bitch, this poison was originally prepared for me by Qin Tian. After ingesting it, the victim suffers total paralysis from which there is no recovery. Fortunately, Zhang Huai caught on early. Working together, we pulled off a seamless switch and delivered the poison right into Qin Zhao's hands without a trace. I've locked Li Qian in the basement. No one is allowed to see her except for the occasional meal delivery. Qin Shao was terrified of me. He fell to his knees, begging, Mom, I'm your son, please don't hurt me. I just smiled and had him sent to the very same psychiatric hospital I was in during my past life. I made sure to instruct the staff to take good care of my husband's bastard son. Qin Zhao's household registration is under our family's name. Everyone knows it was Qin Shao who poisoned Qin Tian, who is now paralyzed and bedridden. I had him committed to a psychiatric hospital, and no one tried to stop me. Some time later, after the successive misfortunes of Qin Tian and Qin Shao, Qin Zhao's biological mother, the woman Qin Tian truly loved, lost her mind and went insane. She came at me with a knife, but thankfully I reacted quickly and only suffered a superficial wound. After the report, Li Qian's lawyer claimed that Li Qian was mentally ill and lacked the capacity to act when she attacked me. The court acquitted her. This was exactly what I wanted, and Li Qian was also sent to that mental hospital. In the hospital, seeing Qin Shao, who was dull and drooling, Li Qian truly went mad. I arranged the best medical equipment at home for Qin Tian, hired the best caretaker, and brought him back home. I installed 4 monitors in the room, each connected to the psychiatric hospital's surveillance every day. This way, Qin Tian can see his beloved woman and son every day. Qin Tian's confidants at the company want to visit him every day, and I don't refuse, but I give Qin Tian a dose of tranquilizer before they arrive. I have finally announced that I am officially adopting Zhang Huai as my son. 15. A few months later, the hospital suddenly called me to say that Qin Xiao had escaped. When I saw him again, he was standing across the street, staring at me intently. I knew he was back just by looking into his eyes. It's good that he's back, otherwise, this revenge wouldn't feel satisfying. He walked up to me and called out, "Mom, long time no see." After all, he's the heir to the company. His demeanor is completely different from before, and every step he takes exudes an intimidating aura. He stood in front of me. "You refused to teach me, deliberately spoiled me, and caused my family to fall apart. Are you happy now? Are you very pleased with yourself? If it weren't for my rebirth, you wouldn't even be my match, bitch." I watched as his eyes were bloodshot, looking like he wanted to devour someone. Smiling, I said, "In my previous life, I didn't spoil you, but I ended up dying a miserable death, this time, by spoiling you. Look at how I'm living now. My skin is full and rosy, dressed modestly yet luxuriously." Hatred burned fiercely in Qin Zhao's eyes. I continued, "If you had treated me well in your past life, I would have been sincere with you in this one. Isn't this suffering of your own making? In your past life, you were the top scorer in the National College entrance exam. Yet all you learned in the end was to repay kindness with betrayal. If you can't grasp what's in the books, then perhaps you shouldn't bother reading at all. I've already been kind enough to let you live. How dare you blame me?" Qin Xiao charged at me with a roar, holding a sharp knife in his hand. Unfortunately, I had already prepared myself when I received the hospital notice. The bodyguard I hired swiftly and efficiently pinned Qin Xiao to the ground. "Good son, now that you're back, it's your turn to taste the suffering I endured in my previous life." I patted his flushed face. Qin Xiao was sent back to the mental hospital again. To prevent him from escaping, the hospital administered electrotherapy to him as soon as he arrived. Watching his trembling body, terrified eyes, and the wetness spreading from his trouser legs, I smiled sincerely. After returning, I told Qin Tian the news that Qin Xiao had also come back. Qin Tian hated me bitterly, but all he could do was watch Qin Xiao cry in the surveillance footage, unable to do anything. It's great. Everyone who deserved punishment has received it. I watched the interview of the rising business star Zhang Huai on TV. Those who deserved good karma have received it. The end. That concludes the first story. Stay tuned for even more exciting tales. I've been reborn, and this time I choose to actively fulfill Shi Lujun and Li Xinxin. When Shi Lujun said Li Xinxin was in poor health, I gave up my job and volunteered to move to the countryside. When Shi Lujun wanted to bring Li Xinxin home to care for her, I moved out on my own accord to make room for them. In my past life, when Li Xinxin was critically ill, everyone urged me to get a divorce, also their love story could end without regret. Even my own daughter accused me of being selfish, but what none of them knew was that I, too, was terminally ill and didn't have long to live. Hearing Director Wang mumble that I was too sensible, I almost burst into tears because I had actually been reborn. I was reborn at the crucial moment when Shi Lujun asked me to give my job to Li Xinxin. I decisively put down my pen and said to Director Wang, "Director, I want to give my job to someone who is in greater need and more deserving of help." Director Wang suddenly stopped talking and looked at me strangely. "Didn't your fiancé tell you to give this job opportunity to Li Xinxin? How are you going to explain this to him when you go back?" My fiancé, Shi Lujun, is seen by others as a handsome and refined high-ranking official's son, and is praised by everyone as a model military officer. Everyone says I'm not worthy of Shi Lujun. If it weren't for my parents being martyrs, even working as a nanny in Shi Lujun's family would be considered an honor for me. I chuckled and told Director Wang, "Director, I want to embrace the call of the new era by pursuing free love, rather than adhering to the old practice of arranged marriages by parents. Done, as the child of a martyr, I must lead by example and take the initiative to help comrades in need." Director Wang was so moved by my impassioned speech that he applauded repeatedly, his eyes filled with approval at my heightened awareness. I took the opportunity to submit my application to work in the countryside to Director Wang. "Women hold up half the sky, and it's everyone's duty to build our motherland." As I left with the notice in hand, Director Wang's praise echoed behind me. In my previous life, I didn't go to the countryside because in a few days I would marry Shi Lujun, and soon after we had a child, I stayed at home taking care of the family while Shi Lujun stayed in the military. As he was promoted and transferred, we began living apart. When Shi Lujun was promoted and transferred, no matter where he went, he would take Li Xinxin and their child with him. Everyone praised him for being loyal, righteous, and trustworthy, but only I knew his indifference and neglect. I stayed home to take care of the elderly and children, and I had to clear up the rumors about him. I watched my daughter grow from a helpless infant to a toddler, then gradually drift away from me, disdain me, and eventually marry the son of Li Xinxin. They became a real family. I was confused and angry, but Shirlujun blamed me for being immature and ungenerous. His light words became the straw that broke the camel's back for me. What's even more ridiculous is that no one told me about my daughter's wedding afterward. Shirlujun showed me photos from my daughter's wedding and said, "Don't be angry, she didn't tell you because she was afraid you wouldn't agree." In the photo, my daughter was holding Li Xinxin's arm affectionately, as if they were the real mother and daughter. How long has it been since she last showed me such warmth? Did I even smile? It seems that ever since my daughter started dating, she's grown impatient with me, even repeatedly urging me to get a divorce. She said, "Mom, this situation between you and Dad is pointless. It would be better for everyone if you just got divorced. Mom, you know perfectly well that Dad doesn't love you. Why can't you just let him go and let him be with the person he truly loves? Mom, you know Dad doesn't love you, yet you still refuse to get a divorce. You're being so selfish. Mom, you're honestly not good enough for Dad. Just get a divorce. Let him have a chance at a better life in his later years. If I get a divorce, who would it really benefit? Who would it help? And just who is good enough for Shirlujun?" Anyway, it was only then that I realized the daughter I had worked so hard to raise was wholeheartedly siding with her future mother-in-law, feeling sorry for Li Xinxin. She was taking his side, but why on earth should she? Why was it me who endured the hardship, tending to his gravely ill parents day and night by their sickbed, while he was off somewhere else, enjoying a romantic affair under the moon and among the flowers? Emotion. Why is it that when my daughter falls ill and has a fever, I'm the one carrying her, running up and down to register and get her checked, staying up all night afraid to sleep, watching the drip until dawn, while he takes someone else's son for tutoring, shopping, and dining out, even attending parent-teacher meetings as a parent? Why have I given everything to this family, sacrificed my dreams, lost myself, only to have everyone say I don't deserve it? He said. My daughter said too. Everyone said. Everyone urged me to divorce, to let Shirlujun and Li Xinxin be together. But why should I, over my dead body? Even though I know Shirlujun doesn't love me, and I know he and Li Xinxin are the real deal, I'm going to drag this out and endure it, right up until the day I die. Li Xinxin is critically ill. Her final wish is to take a family portrait as Shirlujun's lawful wife. Shirlujun came to see me. He said he was sorry and begged me, for the sake of Li Xinxin who is dying, to let them be together. I studied him carefully. He was just as handsome and refined as I remembered. Time seemed to have been especially kind to him. The added wrinkles only made him appear even gentler. His back was still straight, from youth to old age. He held up an umbrella for Li Xinxin her entire life, yet he never once did the same for me. Finally, he even dumped the rain from his umbrella on me. The more desperate he became, the colder I grew, and in the end, we parted on bad terms. In the end, I sacrificed myself for them, dying on the day my daughter came to persuade me to divorce again. Seeing that her emotional and moral manipulation left me unmoved, she angrily stood up and left, saying, "I still don't. If it weren't for you, this mother." She slammed the door and left. What she didn't see was the advanced cancer diagnosis paper slipping from my hand. What she didn't see was that I died with my eyes wide open. In that final moment before death, I regretted everything, regretting why I had given birth to her, and even more, why I had married Shirlujun. Fortunately, I was reborn. Just before I married Shirlujun this time, I will live only for myself. When I got home, I put away the rural assignment notice and started packing my luggage. This apartment, a 2-bedroom and 1 living room unit, was allocated for Shirlujun's marriage. Since the wedding was approaching, I moved in, and I was supposed to live here with him, a person, a house. As I pondered my plans for the coming days, I also dreamed of the future. I'm going to the countryside because I know a future titan of agriculture is there. I want to learn from him and dedicate myself to serving the nation, to realize my own worth. Just as I was lost in my rosy daydreams about the future, Shirlujun returned as expected. He had gone to Li Xinxin and her son first before bringing them back home. Li Xinxin entered the house, holding her son's hand and following behind Shirlujun. As soon as she stepped inside, she said, "Sister-in-law, we're imposing on you." Again, to be honest, Li Xinxin wasn't a classic beauty with striking features, but her delicate, willow-like fragility was the kind that instinctively made people want to protect her. Desire. As she spoke, her eyes glanced at Shirlujun, and then she lowered her head with a smile, exuding the tender affection of newlyweds returning home. Li Xinxin's son was also a regular at home. He pushed past me and rushed to the kitchen, pulling out their respective special bowls and chopsticks from the cabinet, one set for Shirley Jun, one for Li Xinxin, one for him, and none for me. It was as if they were the real family of three, and I was the outsider. Soon, the boy ran out of the kitchen, looking aggrieved. He clung to Shirley Jun's leg and complained, "Dad, there's nothing in the kitchen at all. Did she eat everything and leave nothing for me and Mom?" I once asked Shirley Jun why he let Li Xinxin's son call him Dad. Shirley Jun said the child was still young, and asked me to be the bigger person. There's no point in arguing with a child. What's the difference between a godfather and a father? Anyway, perhaps Shirley Jun also longed to be the boy's father, which is why he didn't make a fuss. Shirley Jun patted the boy's head, signaling for him to let go, then hurried into the kitchen only to find it was indeed completely empty. Li Xinxin's eyes instantly welled up with tears. "Have I upset sister-in-law?" She whimpered pitifully. "Should I just not come anymore?" "True, but I can't just not make dinner for brother." "Sure." I just sat quietly on the sofa, watching Shirley Jun anxiously comforting Li Xinxin and her child, until she saw them back home. When Shirley Jun returned home again, I was in the kitchen cooking noodles. He stood frowning by the door for a long moment before finally saying, "If you're unhappy, just tell me directly. Why make things difficult for Xinxin and her child?" Realizing his tone was too harsh, Shirley Jun continued to explain, "I grew up with her husband. Before he passed away, he specifically asked us to take extra care of them. The child is still young and needs proper nutrition. Xinxin isn't very good at cooking, and since you have time and know how to cook, I thought of bringing her." They went home to eat. "If you're upset, I won't invite them over anymore." Seeing I still didn't react, Shirley Jun said flatly, "Shouldn't you understand better than anyone?" "That's right. After my parents passed away, I was taken in and raised by the Shur family, so I should just understand." The next day, as soon as Shirley Jun left the house, I followed suit and headed back to the Shur family home. My engagement to him was arranged by his parents, with witnesses present at the time. If I really want to separate from him, I should explain it to his parents and inform the witnesses from back then, to avoid any misunderstandings in the future. This is not a good time for marriage. After packing my bags and buying a few gifts to take back, I slowly made my way home. Just thinking about how I'll be leaving this place in a few days to start my life anew fills me with motivation. When I got home, Shirley Jun had already returned, and some dishes were laid out on the table. "You're back so late, you haven't eaten, have you? Let me heat this up for you." With that, Shirley Jun picked up the plate and headed toward the kitchen. As he walked by, I caught the distinct scent of roses on him. Li Xinxin's scent. It was the fragrance of her shampoo, so he must have had dinner with Li Xinxin and her son. They might have just left. "It seems my presence here has affected their relationship." I said I had already eaten and went straight back to my room. "Most of my luggage is already packed. I didn't bring much to begin with, so I'll just double check the rest tomorrow. That should be enough. Since we've decided to part ways, let's make a clean break. I don't want to leave anything behind." Tired from packing, I decided to go to the living room for a glass of water. Shirley Jun's door was open, and the moment he saw me come out, he approached with the marriage application form, asking when I wanted to set the wedding date for. I glanced at my luggage in the corner and said to Shirley Jun, "Marriage is a big deal with many traditions. I'll go home tomorrow to ask auntie and uncle." Shirley Jun nodded in agreement. In reality, writing the marriage application now is just a formality. To outsiders, we are already considered a married couple. My parents passed away when I was very young, and with no other family, Uncle Shur simply took me in and raised me as his own. Uncle and auntie treated me exceptionally well, just like their own daughter. Shirley Jun was the quintessential perfect child other parents talked about. He was handsome, a top student, had a great personality, and was good at everything. He was also very kind to me, so it was only natural that I fell for him. Auntie saw through my thoughts and, after discussing with Uncle, decided to arrange our engagement. As auntie put it, no matter who I married into, she was afraid I would be wronged, and only staying at home would make her feel most at ease. In fact, the greatest grievances I experienced in my previous life were all given to me by Shirley Jun and his daughter. I sighed. I had repaid my debt to Uncle and auntie in my previous life, and this life I just wanted to stay far away from Shirley Jun. Live for yourself, just this once. The next morning, I was surprised to find Shirley Jun still at home. As soon as he saw me come out, he got up and went into the kitchen, bringing out noodles and soy milk. This was the first time since I've been here that I had breakfast with Shirley Jun. Shirley Jun suddenly spoke up. "What time are you heading back?" "I'm off this afternoon, so wait for me and we'll go together." It's been a while since I last went home. I was taken aback and asked him, "Do you have time?" Shirley Jun nodded. After all, getting married is a big deal, and there are still many details to discuss. Besides, you've got so much stuff, it's not convenient to travel alone, why don't we go back together? I instinctively wanted to shake my head and refuse, desperately trying to think of an excuse that wouldn't arouse his suspicion. The door to the house suddenly burst open, and a boy with tears streaming down his face rushed into Shiliajan's arms. Shiliajan immediately embraced the boy with concern and comforted him. What happened to Xiaohui? Why are you crying? Shilujun seemed to think of something and asked anxiously, did something happen to your mom? Xiaohui glanced at me cautiously before saying, Mom doesn't let me come to see Dad. Mom said the aunt doesn't like us, and once the aunt marries Dad, we can't come to see him anymore, nor can we call you Dad anymore. In my past life, it was this boy who stole my daughter away, causing her to drift apart from me. How could I not despise him? Xiaohui said the other kids were calling him a fatherless wild child. Li Xinxin heard this and was crying miserably in her room. Shilujun picked up Xiaohui and rushed out the door to comfort Li Xinxin, not even sparing a moment to explain anything to me. I let out a soft, derisive laugh. True love indeed. I no longer need to find any excuses to refuse him, as I just want to go back alone. Before leaving, I took one last look at the date on the notice and then happily departed. Today, I must dissolve the engagement with Shilujun, although I feel a bit sorry for uncle and aunt. A forced relationship doesn't lead to happiness. They wouldn't want us to become a pair of resentful partners either. As soon as my uncle and aunt saw me return, they warmly took my hands and asked about my well-being. My uncle kept glancing behind me from time to time. When my uncle learned that I was the only one who had come back, he grunted in mild dissatisfaction. My aunt also complained that Shilujun was too inconsiderate. I hesitated several times, wanting to speak but stopping myself. As I looked at my aunt, my uncle waved his hand to interrupt her, then looked at me with affection. Duo, speak directly to your uncle and aunt. We'll support you, so don't be afraid. I pursed my lips before speaking. Uncle, I want to break off the engagement with Shilujun. Auntie was shocked. She grabbed my hand and asked, did Xiaojun mistreat you? Or did he do something wrong to you? Something wrong to you? Bullying. He truly did bully and wrong me throughout our last life together. I lowered my head in silence. A dreadful silence fell over the room, broken only by Auntie's quiet sobs. After a long pause, Uncle and Auntie finally spoke up to console me. Duo, dear, don't be afraid, we're here for you. That boy wouldn't dare bully you. Even if his heart belongs to someone else, we absolutely won't allow it. He brought her home as his wife. After you marry Xiaojun, just live a steady life. Things will get better over time, and your aunt and I will always support you. If that guy dares to bully you, I'll have your uncle break his legs. If you, a young woman, call off the engagement, what will happen in the future? Your parents entrusted you to us. And this, how could I ever face your parents? Seeing that I remained silent and vacant-eyed despite their lengthy attempts to console me, the uncle and aunt were rather at a loss. The aunt gave my back a firm pat, then held me close and burst into tears, her heart aching for me. Oh, you poor child, what on earth have you been through? You've been like this since you were young, holding everything in and never speaking up. Once you make a decision, you never look back. If you keep this up, you're going to get hurt in the future. When Auntie had finally cried her heart out, she grabbed me with one hand and Uncle with the other, saying, let's go, find the witness, this marriage, withdrawn, find my daughter a better man someday. I followed the aunt quietly, watching as the witness wrote out a new statement, then signed it and pressed his fingerprint to the paper. Once I had this document in hand, I let out a soft sigh of relief. It was finally all over. I know my aunt and uncle truly have my best interests at heart. After all, in everyone's eyes, Shilujun is a golden boy with a limitless future, the kind of catch everyone envies. That's why they took my request to break off the engagement so seriously. Saying simply that we weren't a good match was far too flippant, but in the end, because they were afraid I'd be unhappy, they indulged my choice. What happened in my past life, I can't speak of it, nor am I allowed to. I can't tell my uncle and aunt that Shilujun ignored me for Li Xinxin. I can't tell my uncle and aunt that my daughter has become Li Xinxin's little confidant. I can't tell my uncle and aunt that I died with regrets in my previous life. Everyone says I'm the stumbling block that affects the happiness of Shilujun's family of 4. No one acknowledges that I am the lawful wife whose family was torn apart by Li Xinxin. No one sees that, despite having a husband and a daughter, I live as if I were utterly alone. With the marriage contract finally annulled, a profound sense of relief washed over me. Auntie held my hand, her heart aching for me, and kept apologizing. Although my uncle is quiet, he told me very solemnly when he saw me off that from now on, I would be their own daughter, and if I ever felt wronged outside, I should come home. I know my uncle and Aunt truly care for me and treat me like their own daughter. But I still didn't tell them about my plan to go to the countryside. The matter of going to the countryside, the bus arrived very late. I got off, thinking to buy some steamed buns nearby before heading home. Reaching into my pocket, I found a neatly rolled up wad of money, 500 yuan. Auntie must have slipped it to me secretly when she hugged me goodbye. Tears welled up in my eyes instantly. Uncle and Auntie are truly such kind people. It's just a shame that Jun and I weren't right for each other. As soon as I reached the building entrance, the aunties chatting outside gave me strange looks. I nervously smoothed down the hem of my shirt. Auntie Fong, who lived next door to Jun, brushed the sunflower seed shells from her hands, grabbed my arm, and pulled me toward a quiet spot. All the while muttering under her breath, she began to lecture me. Now don't take this the wrong way, dear, but you're far too trusting. How can you just invite anyone and everyone into your home? You're sure Jun is a real catch. Half the girls in this compound have their eyes on him. You'd better keep a close watch. I tell you, your family is also quite tactless. There's always gossip around a widow's house. Everyone avoids that mother and son. But you two just love to get involved. The young couple is always so eager to get involved. Thank goodness you came back tonight. Otherwise, with the commotion this afternoon, who knows what the whole compound will be talking about tomorrow. That Li Xin doesn't seem like a quiet one. You need to be more careful. And if anything happens, talk to the aunties. Only then did I realize what had happened. It turned out Jun had taken Li Xin and her child into his home, knowing full well his actions would draw scorn. He simply used me as his excuse. I let out a scornful laugh. So, Jun knew exactly what was improper. He was just using a facade of loyalty and righteousness to disguise his sordid intentions. Did I bring someone home? Just one day after leaving, was I too eager or simply unable to control my emotions? But it doesn't concern me anymore. I'll be leaving here in 2 days. As soon as I looked up, I saw Aunt Fong's intense gaze. I know those aunties mean no harm. They just love gossiping behind people's backs. Gossip. But in my previous life, these same people always said I wasn't good enough for Jun. Always said I was standing in the way of Jun and Li Xinxin's love. I thanked Aunt Fong for her kindness and went home without saying a word. What was there to say? Accuse Jun and Li Xinxin of being ambiguous and morally corrupt, and then ruin them after being reborn. I didn't think about exposing their affair outright. Li Xinxin and Jun ruined my previous life. How could I not resent or hate them? But I can't hurt my uncle and aunt's feelings. They've been so good to me that even hating Jun feels like it would hurt them. As long as I still have reservations about Jun, Li Xin won't be affected at all. If this blows up, Jun would have to marry Li Xin to save face and honor his obligations. That's exactly what she wants. Flies don't swarm around a crack-free egg. Ultimately, it was Jun who let his thoughts stray. The moment I opened the door, the laughter in the room died instantly. Jun and Li Xin were wearing matching aprons, with Xiaohui running and playing around them. They looked like one happy, harmonious family. Jun was the first to snap out of it. He put down the plate and walked towards me, reaching out to take the bag from my hand while asking, "You're back." Back. I ignored him and walked straight to my room, but Jun stopped me by reaching out. Seeing this, Li Xin picked up Xiaohui and naturally entered my room. I frowned at Jun, demanding an explanation. Jun cleared his throat awkwardly before explaining to me. Xin hasn't been feeling well lately, and Xiaohui is still young, so I asked them to stay home. Come stay with us for a couple of days first. Please take good care of him. I figured you'd find out when you got home tonight, so I didn't bother discussing it with you. It was only then that I realized my luggage had been moved out and was casually tossed in a small pile beneath the balcony window. Jun followed my gaze and hurriedly walked over to pick up a jacket with a footprint on it. Brushing off the dust, I thought your luggage was easy to move, so I let Xin and Xiaohui stay in your room first. I originally planned to rearrange things after Xiaohui finished eating. Right, you're back. So, was I not supposed to come back? Jun saw that I was still silent, and he said a bit uncomfortably, "We're getting married soon. Why don't you move in with me first? Let's live together." Though I remained silent, I followed him inside and saw the marriage application he had left on the table. The application date field is still blank. Jun arranged my luggage and then sat across from me. "How are your parents' health? What did they say about the wedding?" Done. I paused for a moment before saying, "Your parents are doing just fine. It's just that you should try to visit them more often in the future. As for the marriage matter, your parents want to ask around a bit more. There's no rush anyway, so let's just wait and see. I'm leaving in 2 days anyway. Might as well put it off for as long as I can." Jun suddenly joked, "As long as You go back, they'll be happy, what would they need me for? I couldn't be bothered with him, so I just gave a perfunctory nod, wanting nothing more than to go to bed early. Dad, I'm hungry, shall we? Called out from the living room. Sure, Lu Jun asked me to go out for a meal together. I shook my head and said I'd already eaten, so he went out alone. Before long, the aroma of food and the sound of the family's cheerful laughter drifted in from the living room. A doting father, a gentle mother, and a good son. Li Xinxin indeed has a good son, at least better than my daughter. He will love his mother. I shook my head, forcing myself not to think about those people and events from my past life. I was woken up by Xiaowei stomping on me. He was using Shi Liujuan's bed as a trampoline, completely ignoring the fact that I was sleeping on it. Seeing that I was angry, Xiaowei burst into loud, wailing tears. Li Xinxin and Shi Liujun rushed into the room immediately. I glared at Xiaowei with a cold expression and said, apologize. Not only did he refuse to apologize to me after seeing Shi Liujun, but he also played the victim first. Daddy, I hate this auntie. She doesn't like me and mommy, and she's mean to us. Daddy, please don't marry this horrible woman. Daddy, can you please make her go away? Sister-in-law, I'm so sorry. It's all my fault for not teaching Xiaowei well. Please don't be angry. Even if you don't like me, sister-in-law, please don't take it out on the child. After all, Xiaowei is just a child. Shi Liujun held Xiaowei close, comforting him, then gave me a disapproving look, signaling me to apologize to Li Xinxin and her son. I'm sorry, I couldn't be bothered with these hypocritical drama queens. I simply stood up, grabbed my luggage, and tried to walk out, only to be blocked by Shi Liujuan's outstretched arm. What are you doing? It's so late. Where do you think you're going? You're an adult. Why would you get so worked up over a child that you'd run away from home? Seeing that I was genuinely furious, Li Xinxin quickly took little Hui from Shi Liujuan's arms and ducked into the other room. Shi Liujun pressed me down to sit on the bed, and only then did he pull up a stool and sit down in front of me. Just as he was about to speak, I showed him my wrist, the one that had been stepped on by Xiaowei and was now red and swollen. His words caught in his throat, and his face flushed with frustration. After a long pause, he finally pleaded, Xiaowei is just a child. After all, Xinxin is raising him all on her own. It's not easy for her. It's difficult. Don't be so indulgent. You're an adult now. Don't argue with a child. Xiaowei grew up without a father. Shouldn't you be more understanding of him? I know you don't like Xinxin, but aren't you forcing them to leave like this? Go apologize to them. I let out a cold laugh. I didn't force them to leave. Now, I'm the one choosing to go, making room for them. You brought someone home without even telling me, and then threw my luggage out, wasn't it you who forced me to leave? You want to bring someone home, so you push me out as a shield. Do you know how shameless your actions are? My taunts left Shi Liujuan's face flushed with humiliation. He pointed a trembling finger at me for what felt like an eternity, utterly speechless, before finally turning to flee in disgrace. He fled that very night. I moved out of Shi Liujuan's place. I made quite a racket, and plenty of neighbors poked their heads out to see what all the commotion was about. Not that I could be bothered with any of that anymore. I don't want to ruin Shi Liujun, but if he's determined to self-destruct, I won't stop him. There's a guest house near Shi Liujuan's place, and that night I finally had my first restful sleep since my rebirth. The next morning, Li Xinxin knocked on my door with red eyes. She angrily asked if I did it on purpose. So the moment I left with my luggage last night, the whole compound was already buzzing with gossip about her affair with Shi Liujun. By morning, everyone looked at her with disdain, pointing and whispering. Li Xinxin's eyes turned red with anger. Do you think moving out will force Brother Shi to marry you sooner? Or do you think that by doing this, if we make a scene, will Brother Shi abandon us mother and child from now on? I'm telling you, Brother Shi won't marry you, and you'll never be able to get rid of me or outdo me. She covered her face and ran off, as if she had suffered some great injustice. I knew Li Xinxin harbored animosity toward me in my previous life, and I also knew she had always liked Shi Liujun, but I never doubted the bond between Shi Liujun and me. After all, we grew up together since childhood. Even if everyone said it was me, it was a marriage above my station, but I never felt inferior. It wasn't until after our marriage, when Shi Liujun repeatedly and unconditionally sided with Li Xinxin and her son, that I finally saw the truth in his heart. Li Xinxin and her son were his true priority. My heart finally died completely. From that moment on, I thought, if I could have a chance to do it all over again, I would definitely leave Shi Liujun and go out to see the beautiful landscapes of our great motherland. It didn't surprise me at all that Shi Liujun came to find me. After all, things got a bit out of hand last night, and he must be looking for ways to explain himself. Just like in my previous life, he always made me clarify things, and he protected Li Xinxin's spotless reputation for a lifetime. He breathed a sigh of relief when he saw her calm demeanor and was allowed inside. Don't be angry anymore, come home with me. I spoke too harshly last night. I shouldn't have made you apologize. I didn't say a word, nor did I agree to it. Lu Jun started to panic. You ran out alone late at night. Do you know how dangerous that is? Xinxin cried all night out of guilt. And this morning she didn't even eat breakfast before going out to look for you. You're the one who should understand shall we the most. You grew up without parents too, and my parents were also. Enough. I cut Lu Jun off coldly. He looked at me in astonishment. Lu Jun, you know perfectly well that growing up without parents is my deepest pain, yet you use that pain to guilt trip me every single time, forcing me to understand shall we. You clearly knew I didn't like Li Xinxin and her son, yet you still asked me to tolerate them, even bringing them back home for me to take care of. You said it was dangerous for me to run out alone at night, but did you come out to look for me? There's only one guest house near our home, and you couldn't think of it after searching all night, or were you at home comforting your dear Xinxin? Right, as if I had hit the nail on the head. Lu Jun raised his voice defensively. What do you mean, my Xian? I've already told you. Xian's husband is my childhood friend. I'm taking care of her as a favor to a loyal friend. I chuckled. Childhood friend, which one? I don't know about that. Liu Jun's breath caught. He had forgotten that we grew up together, and I knew all his friends in my past life. I didn't speak up because I was blinded by my self-righteous love in this life. I don't speak up because I can't be bothered to expose their hypocritical ugliness. You use the excuse of taking care of your childhood friend's widow to flirt with Li Xinxin. Yet you pride yourself on being loyal and honorable. Why don't you see other comrades taking care of Li Xinxin and her child? Have you seen how your comrades view you and Li Xinxin? Don't think that just because you've wrapped yourself in a cloak of morality, others can't see the filth within. People aren't blind or stupid. Liu Jun's face was a patchwork of bruises, yet he still tried to appear calm as he said, I know you're still angry, and you, stay here for a couple of days first. Once I've settled things with Shall We and the others, I'll come to take you home. I called out to stop Lu Jun, who was about to make a hasty and undignified retreat. You said before that Li Xinxin was in poor health, couldn't handle heavy work, and shouldn't be on the factory floor, so you asked me to swap jobs with her. I've already spoken to Director Wang about it. Hearing this, Liu Jun's face lit up with delight. He grabbed my hand excitedly and said, Duo. I knew you were the sensible one. Don't worry, I'll definitely marry you. Lu Jun didn't even wait to see my scornful expression before he eagerly ran off. How utterly shameless of Lu Jun to think I'd still be willing to marry him now, as if his proposal were some grand, heavenly favor bestowed upon me, and I should be groveling with gratitude. If I dared to feel wronged, I'd be accused of not knowing my place without the veneer of romance. Lu Jun reveals himself as a hypocritical, arrogant, and utterly insufferable man, a real turn-off. The next day, I arrived at the meeting point bright and early. Director Wang, concerned I might have trouble adjusting, even asked a few people assigned to the same rural post to look out for me. I thanked Director Wang with heartfelt sincerity and presented him with the gift I had specially prepared. Only after getting off the train did I finally breathe a sigh of relief. To my surprise, I actually met the person I had admired all my life, Fan Mingping. In my previous life, I was trapped in household chores and wasted my entire life. This time, I finally have the chance to step out of the family, to have time to learn, and to realize my own value outside of my regular work, meals, and sleep. I devoted every other waking moment to studying and researching agricultural knowledge, sharing similar interests with Fan Mingping. The two of us naturally grew closer. By the time I finally met the travel-worn Lu Jun, 2 whole months had already passed. Seeing Lu Jun didn't come as a surprise. Director Wang had written to me a month prior, informing me that already knew I had been sent down to the countryside. Director Wang said that a month ago on the day I went to the countryside, Lu Jun took Li Xinxin to handle the transfer procedures, only to find out that the position I had given up had already been filled. The position had been taken by another widow of a fallen soldier. When Li Xinxin found out, she made a scene on the spot, and Liu Jun's face turned very grim. It's unclear whether his grim expression was because of me or because of Li Xinxin. Lu Jun furrowed his brows, looked me up and down, and then sighed in relief, saying, I don't agree to cancel the engagement. Come back with me. Come back with me. I took a step back to keep my distance from him. A flicker of hurt flashed in Liu Jun's eyes. He took an urgent step forward, almost flustered, and said, Duo, there's really nothing between me and Li Xinxin. I only promised her husband that I would take care of her and her child. If you don't like Li Xinxin, I won't see her again. Duo. In my heart, you are the only one I consider my wife. The person I've always wanted to marry is you. I listened in silence, then spoke flatly under his hopeful gaze. You should go back. Li Xinxin and her son are waiting for you. It was as if my words had extinguished all the light in Shi Liujuan's eyes. He was radiating immense sorrow and grief. Shi Liujun stayed here for a few days. I carried on as usual, going to work, eating my meals, and then going to find Fang Mingping. Shi Liujun insisted on following me around. Sometimes, when there were heavy boxes to move at work, he would step forward and lift them himself. Not letting me do it, he said, "It's too heavy. I can't bear to part with it." I calmly said, "This box isn't as heavy as the ones in the workshop, and the work I do here isn't as tiring either. You said Li Xinxin's health wasn't good, asked me to switch jobs with her, and take her place in the workshop. Why are you now saying you can't bear to let her go? Is that it?" All the color drained from Shi Liujuan's face. He spoke with difficulty. Duo. I'm sorry, it won't happen again. Come back with me. Let's live a good life together. Just the two of us. Okay, I refused flatly. No. While Fang Mingping and I discussed the temperature and humidity for the rice, Shi Liujun couldn't understand and could only fret helplessly on the sidelines, just like I used to. Like an outsider, excluded and kept at a distance, Shi Liujun wanted me to keep my distance from Fang Mingping, because he'd heard a lot of people saying that Fang Mingping and I were a match made in heaven, a perfect match. I said with a cold expression, "There's nothing going on between Fang Mingping and me. I'm just learning from him. Aren't you the one who should understand me the most?" Shi Liujun was left speechless by me, and he thought of his previous request for me to be more tolerant and understanding towards Li Xinxin and her son. Shi Liujun had taken leave to come over, and the night before he left, he drank alcohol. It was the first time in 2 lifetimes that I saw him cry, sobbing. He admitted he was wrong and regretted it. He said that the person he had loved all along was only me. He said that our engagement was something he had to beg for, and when he found out I agreed, he was overjoyed, as if he had gained the whole world. He said he had been waiting for me all along, and the only person he ever wanted to marry was me. He said he couldn't live without me. Shi Liujun cried as he spoke, continuing to talk until he fell asleep. Watching him murmur my name in his sleep, begging me not to call off the engagement, I suddenly felt like crying, and also found it absurd. In my previous life, I had been hysterical, cried, made a scene, and felt hatred and regret, yet he always stood aloof, watching coldly as if he were an outsider. When others said he and Li Xinxin were truly in love, he didn't explain. When people said I wasn't good enough for him, he didn't defend me. When I was sick and near death, he showed no concern. In this life, I let go willingly, stepping aside for him and Li Xinxin, his one true love, yet now he's begging me through tears not to leave. Honestly, it's pathetic and laughable. Shi Liujun left, but every month he would write to me, and along with his letters came his monthly wages. He said he would wait for me to return, no matter how long it took. He said he had already gotten the new house ready. He said he had already sent Li Xinxin and her child away. He said he had applied for a transfer to work with me. He said he would spend the new year with me this year. However, in the end, he didn't come because he got married to Li Xinxin. From then on, I completely lost contact with Shi Liujun. A few years later, I finished university and joined the lab with Fang Mingping. I ran into Director Wang at an outdoor venue of a research conference, and that's when I learned about Shi Liujuan's situation. It turned out that Li Xinxin had seen Shi Liujuan's transfer application. She was afraid that if he left, her and her son's future would be uncertain. The child would truly have no one to rely on. So, Li Xinxin deliberately got Shi Liujun drunk and spent the night with him in the same room. The whole thing blew up into a huge scandal. Shi Liujun was transferred out of the military, and Li Xinxin lost her job. Director Wang said with a sigh, "Those two are living in utter chaos now, squabbling constantly. Their neighbors hear about their endless drama every single day." Divination. Shi Liujun, what a pity. He used to be so promising, but now he started drinking and fighting. Just the other day, he got into a fight with Li Xinxin at the police station, and now his current employer has fired him. You're really lucky. I felt sorry for you back when you applied to go work in the countryside. Looking at it now, it was your parents watching over you, keeping you out of harm's way. I smiled, knowing how truly fortunate I was. Fortunate to have been given a second chance at life. Fortunate to have been given a chance to choose again. I'm fortunate to have climbed out of the mire and realized my own worth. Life shouldn't be just about love. There are also dreams and distant horizons. I saw Shirley Jun again 20 years later. I was a celebrated pillar of the scientific community, while he stood there in tattered clothes, holding a wailing infant. The spine that Shirley Jun had held proud for 2 lifetimes finally bent. With red-rimmed eyes, he repeated his apologies over and over. I smiled calmly and offered him a blessing 2 lifetimes overdue. I owed you a happy wedding day. Consider it paid. In this life, I am the fortunate one. But it's true, his self-deceiving selfishness destroyed my previous life. I have merely found peace with it. That does not mean I have forgiven him. Shirley Jun's back grew even more hunched. He gave a bitter smile and muttered, "You have every right to hate me. I deserve it. It's all my own doing." Academician Chen, please proceed inside. Today is Peking University's centennial celebration, and I've been invited to give a speech, I said to Shirley Jun with a smile. I should head in now. With that, I turned and embarked on my glorious life. No farewell, no more encounters in this lifetime. In this life, I dedicated myself to the nation, focused on scientific research, and became a role model others look up to. Love may be betrayed, but hard work never will be. A side story, Shirley Jun, after Duo left, Li Xinxin changed. She began finding all sorts of excuses to stop me from looking for Duo. She even set a trap to force me into marrying her. After we got married, she became hysterical. As soon as I talked to someone of the opposite sex, she starts being sarcastic. I just attended a company party, and she's already causing a huge scene at my workplace. My parents were literally driven to death by her. During another argument with Li Xinxin, I was knocked unconscious by Xiaowei with a stool. Xiaowei thought he had killed someone, and while fleeing in panic, he was hit by a speeding car and died on the spot. After seeing Xiaowei's dismembered body, Li Xingxin also went mad on the spot. When I woke up, I had an additional memory in my mind. It was this memory that made me despairingly realize that Duo and I would never have a chance in this lifetime. It was this very memory that made me understand why Duo would rather go to the countryside than marry me. To leave her in peace for the rest of her life is the best compensation I can offer. In my past life, it was only after Duo's death that I learned Li Xinxin's critical illness was a lie, a ploy to force me into a divorce. That's when I realized just how terribly wrong I had been. I regret it, but Duo can never come back. I clearly rejected Li Xinxin, prepared to live with Duo's memorial tablet, but within less than a year, my daughter was tortured to death by Li Xinxin. The mother and son were brutally abused to death. I reported it to the police and personally sent Xiaowei to prison. Li Xinxin, filled with hatred, pushed me down the stairs, and we both perished. In my final moments, I prayed that if I could live again, I would protect Duo with my life and never lose the one I love. It turns out, heaven truly granted me a second chance, but to my regret, I failed to cherish it once more. The girl in my arms let out a kitten-like whimper. I knew she was hungry. She hadn't had a proper meal in days, and I had no money to give her. She couldn't afford formula, so I could only give her a bit of rice water. She's Xiaowei's daughter. As soon as Xiaowei died, his wife abandoned the child and ran off. Now, it's just the two of us, clinging to each other for survival. Kwakyo, don't cry. Grandpa will take you home for some rice water. Yes, but I have no home to return to. That's all for today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe. If you have any suggestions, feel free to leave a comment below. See you in the next video. Story 2. A man-made rain caused all my underwear hanging on the balcony to blow into my arch-nemesis's house. The good news is, my arch-nemesis lives right downstairs. The bad news is, those were a dozen new pairs I just bought, and all the old ones are gone, and I had just finished showering, ready to put on the new ones. Knock, knock, knock. I knocked on the door with the grim resolve of a condemned man. The door finally opened after what felt like an eternity. Jing Mo stood there, bleary-eyed and with slightly disheveled hair, clearly roused from sleep. Upon realizing it was me, his eyes narrowed to slits. Leaning against the doorframe, he said in a dangerously low voice, "Do you have any idea that waking someone up is a sin punishable by divine wrath?" My lips parted, but I couldn't find the words to explain. Looking up at him in frustration, I mumbled without much conviction, "Just let me in for a moment. Breaking into a private residence will only bring greater retribution." Jing Mo stepped forward, blocking the door with his entire body. A gust of wind blew through the corridor, sending a shiver up the bare skin beneath the nightgown. I was getting anxious. There was no sense of security at all, so I squeezed in from the side, trying to push Jing Mo aside. As soon as I enter this room, I can head straight to the balcony and retrieve my new underwear. After washing and drying them, I'll feel safe again. What are you doing? Jing Mo placed his hand on my shoulder. That hand felt like it was made of iron, leaving me with no chance of escape. Damn it, I can't just come out and say it. I dropped something at your place. I need to go in and get it. Jing Mo crossed his arms, his body still unmoving, and raised an eyebrow at the comment, his tone laced with mockery. The last time you were at my place was 3 months ago. Your things must be really pitiful. Forgotten by their owner for 3 months before being remembered, apart from the sarcasm. It's clear that he doesn't believe I left anything at his place. A chilly wind whistled through the window and into the hallway. Jing Mo seemed to notice my slight shiver. With a furrowed brow, he turned and pulled me inside in one swift motion. I must owe you from a past life. The dominant palette in Jing Mo's home was black, white, and gray, making it feel as cold as the howling gale outside. Since the layout is the same, I immediately walked confidently towards the balcony. Hey, who said you could wander around? A hand reached from behind, gripping my shoulder and pulling me back. I was pulled down to sit on the sofa, and Jing Mo stood in front of me like a wall. What did you lose? When did you lose it? And where did you lose it? If you answer these 3 questions clearly, I'll help you find it. I couldn't get up. Looking up at him, I saw his arrogant, indifferent expression. It was clear he wouldn't leave unless I answered his question. It's not easy to explain. Anyway, the strong wind blew something of mine onto your balcony. Jing Mo looked skeptical and, to my surprise, seemed intent on going over to check for himself. I immediately stood up to block his path. Don't you dare come over. I'll get it myself. Jing Mo clearly sensed something was off with my vague explanations, but he didn't move, letting me go to the balcony in a hurry to retrieve my underwear. I thought he hadn't followed, straining on tiptoe to grab my pastel pink, lavender, and light blue colorful underwear. These must be them. A wave of relief washed over me. I was finally getting my sense of security back. As I turned, I came face to face with Jing Mo. His gaze instantly fell to what was in my hands. Wasn't he just standing in the living room a moment ago? Jing Mo's expression visibly froze for a second before he immediately turned his head away. I told you not to come, I snapped in a fluster, then dashed out like the wind, slammed the door, and bolted back upstairs. Bang, bang, bang. I knocked on Jing Mo's door once more. Heaven knows how long I wrestled with myself before making this decision. I didn't have my keys, and by the time I got upstairs, the wind had already blown the door shut. I thought about calling a locksmith, but with the terrible artificial weather outside, no one was willing to come. I crouched by the door, holding my new underwear close to my chest, feeling the cold wind blowing into the places I wasn't wearing anything. Seriously, I feel absolutely, utterly insecure. The door opened, revealing Jing Mo with a hint of awkwardness. You're back again. He looked slightly uncomfortable, clearing his throat. Did you forget to take everything? You're so scatterbrained. I forgot my keys. I was hoping to use your bathroom. It's not about whether I can enter the room or not. What matters is boosting my sense of security. Putting on my underwear, my tone carried a hint of pleading. Perhaps it was the first time he heard me speak like that. And Jing Mo paused for a moment before stepping aside to let me in. Jing Mo clearly thought I just wanted to use the bathroom, so when I asked him for a hairdryer, he started asking all sorts of questions again. Arg, so noisy. Well, he'd already seen what I dropped on his balcony anyway. I threw caution to the wind and said, I need to dry it, so I've got nothing to wear right now. To prove my point, I even pulled out the one I was about to dry and held it out for him to see. It was the pale pink one, adorned with little bows and lace trim. Perhaps he'd never seen anything like it before, because Jing Mo's usually stern face instantly flushed with the color of the evening sky. He couldn't utter a word, turned around like a robot, and walked away slightly flustered. A minute later, a hairdryer was passed in through the crack of the door. Wasn't I red-faced too? After all, almost all my interactions with Jing Mo had been bickering. I quickly grabbed the hairdryer, giving myself a long-missed sense of security. That's the stuff. I felt safe again, but now I feel unsafe in a different way. I never expected that just 10 odd minutes of cold draft in the stairwell would be enough to give me a fever. Jing Mo and I sat at opposite corners of the sofa, the maximum distance I could put between us. Once seated, no one looked at each other. Each person just stared down at their phone for his timely help. I struggled for a moment before finally managing to utter a thank you, but the moment the words left my mouth, he collapsed. Hey, don't you dare die on my couch. Was saying thank you really that lethal? I heard his voice faintly before I lost consciousness. When I woke up, I found myself lying in bed. The fever had broken, and I felt much better all over. But lying next to me was Jing Mo, who looked completely flushed and was burning up even worse than I had been. Oh my god, I couldn't just leave him like that, so I resigned myself to getting up, ready to fetch a damp towel. But the moment I moved one leg, Jing Mo suddenly rolled over, draping an arm And a leg over me, good heavens, is this guy made of cast iron? He's clearly unconscious, yet I can't budge his body with my movement. He drew even closer, almost pinning me firmly in his embrace. Shuiwei. Jing Mo began to murmur my name, his voice escaping with a breath that felt like a lick of flame. Goosebumps prickled across my neck, yet at the same time, a thrill shot through me. I had to record this. That arrogant jerk Jing Mo, who usually acts all high and mighty around me, is actually like this when he has a fever. Leverage, sweet leverage. From now on, I hold his secret. Won't it be a breeze to handle him from here on out? I endured Jing Mo's restraint for the moment, fumbled for my phone from the side, and started filming him. As soon as the camera turned on, his face filled the entire phone screen. I have to admit, he's quite handsome, with a straight nose and thick, long eyelashes. He looks much more pleasant than when his eyes are open. Jing Mo, I called out to him. He stirred slightly, a faint movement, then continued to murmur Shuiwei in a low voice. Jing Mo's voice, usually so infuriating, was now soft and low, husky and fever-warm. If my name weren't Shuiwei, I'd have thought he was calling for a lover, but as his sworn rival, I know the truth. He must despise me to his very core, calling my name even in feverish delirium, probably dreaming of beating me up anyway. He can't beat me now. Hee, I must record something that will make him bow his head since he's been calling my name all along. I gently slapped his face and asked triumphantly, Jing Mo, who is standing in front of you now? Shuiwei. The feverish boy could only manage that one word. You most dislike? No. To disgust him and get a hold of him, you can't ask about someone he dislikes. It should be, who is the person you like? Shuiwei. Who is the person you love the most? Who is the most beautiful person in the world? Who is the kindest and gentlest person on earth? During the video recording, the handsome boy's face appeared on the screen. For all the questions in the voiceover, he had only one answer, Shuiwei. Finally, I pinched Jing Mo's cheek. The boy on the screen seemed to be at anyone's mercy. It was so satisfying. After finishing the recording, I happily saved the video. I still had a shred of conscience left. Seizing the moment when Jing Mo's grip loosened, I broke free and went to fetch 2 damp towels. I also noticed some medicine nearby and managed to get him to take it. I recorded everything, just in case he woke up thinking I had mistreated him. Little did I know, I had only just recovered from a fever myself. After just barely mustering enough strength to rescue Jing Mo, I promptly passed out again. I woke up, unable to tell if it was day or night outside. I was met only by a pair of eyes. I was lying down, while Jing Mo propped his head up beside me, watching me with a strange look in his eyes. He was a bit too close for comfort. My first instinct was to punch him, to send him flying 3 meters away. But he's awake now. I can't take him. Besides, I've got some leverage on him. Heh, a gentleman uses his words, not his fists. I lay there with righteous confidence, meeting his gaze directly. Jing Mo, think carefully. Don't I have something on you? Jing Mo didn't move either. His eyelashes drooped, covering half the light in his eyes, giving him a slightly gloomy look. What? Tisk, let me show you what I've got, little brother. I excitedly sat up, pulled out my phone, and showed him the video. The video wasn't very long, but Jing Mo's face clearly darkened. It makes me happy to see him unhappy. What do you want to do? Jing Mo stared at me intently. I seemed to sense his hatred from that sticky gaze. Call me sister from now on. From this day on, Jing Mo was completely under my control. With leverage in hand, bullying is a breeze, always at my beck and call, obediently doing whatever I ask. Jing Mo, wash some fruit for me and bring it up. Jing Mo's face darkened as he brought the fruit platter over and placed it in front of me. Call me sister. I picked up a grape, looking at him triumphantly. The boy's face was clouded with frustration, but he finally called me sister after I ate the 7th grape. Good boy. I casually sent him a red envelope, which covered the cost of the fruit and the service fee. Jing Mo, give me a back rub and a shoulder massage. The guy exuded coldness, but he still had to obediently start the service. Hey, lighter, harder here. Jing Mo, how's your cooking? Make something for your sister to try. Jing Mo, help me move some stuff. Don't worry, little Mo, your sister won't forget your red envelope. Who knew? I'm so grateful I kept his secret back then. Lately, Jingma has been even more useful than an online servant or my own flesh and blood siblings. Then, one day, the kid actually called me big sister on his own. I thought he'd just gotten used to being my little slave, so I didn't pay it much mind, that is, until he invited me to his place, had me sit on the sofa, and started playing a video on a screen set up across from me. On the screen, my face was flushed a deep crimson, like a ripe red apple. My eyes were tightly shut, but my arms were wrapped around a guy, and I kept trying to bury myself in his chest. What on earth? When did I ever do something so shameless? In the video, I got even more out of hand. Not only was I clinging to him, but I started pulling at his clothes, groping all over, even reaching for places that should be pixelated. The bold visuals were so intense that I couldn't help but cover my eyes. But the deafening male voice that finally appeared in the video, "Shuiwe, let go." That's definitely Jin Mo's voice. A major plot twist. I realized this happened after the artificial rain that day. This super evil villain actually beat me to recording such a video, so my enslavement during this time is just a joke. After all, the me in his video is way more excessive than the him in my video. Jing Mo actually leaned in closer and called out tauntingly by my ear, "Sis." My cheeks puffed up with anger as I glared at him warily. "What do you think you're doing? Oh no. Oh no, he's got more dirt on me than I have on him. I'm done for." "Why so scared?" Jing Mo flicked my forehead with his finger, grinning mischievously. "Then call me brother." I knew it. This period of servitude has been humiliating for him. He's been biding his time, enduring hardship, just waiting for the perfect moment to turn the tables and seize his freedom. Seeing that I remained unresponsive for so long, Jing Mo tapped my forehead again. "Are you stupid?" The moment I looked up to glare at him, he pointed at the video playing on the large screen opposite us. I can't bear to look. I turned my head, hesitated for a moment, and finally, in humiliation, whispered, "Guh, guh," because I had turned my head. I didn't see the fleeting smile in Jing Mo's eyes, only heard him laugh. Even in his laughter, I could hear his triumph at rising to power. The contrast really makes me feel annoyed. Am I really going to be enslaved like this? I need to find a way to resolve this matter. Jing Mo. Before I could finish, he interrupted. "What should I call you? What's the proper title?" "I'll endure it, brother," I called out, my voice dripping with resentment, wondering how he had managed to call out sister so smoothly before. "How about we both delete the video from that night? That way, neither of us has any leverage." Another flick on the head. Jing Mo leaned in closer. "Do you think I'm stupid?" Yeah, I was kind of hoping he'd do something dumb, but no such luck. Just as I was trying to think of another way, the doorbell suddenly rang. "Xiao Mo, open the door. Mom and Dad are here to see you." I have no idea how things ended up with me hiding in Jing Mo's room. Forget it, a man and a woman alone in a room late at night. If Jing Mo's parents saw us, it would be hard to explain. Jing Mo's room was also decorated in black, white, and gray. It was minimalist and clean, but I couldn't sit still. I had no choice but to bombard him with messages, urging him to convince his parents to go to another room. But his parents stayed put in the living room and instead told Jing Mo to hurry up and go to bed. The moment Jing Mo walked in, I thought, oh no, wouldn't his parents come back to their room all night? Wouldn't I have to stay in his room all night? The moment I met Jing Mo's eyes, my eyes lost all luster. Waiting, a long wait. I almost fell asleep sitting up until 1 in the morning. As I started to slump to the ground, a body stopped me. I looked up, and Jing Mo said softly, "Go to bed if you're tired." "No way." I raised my voice slightly, then suddenly realized something and pointed outside, expressing my question. Jing Mo shook his head. Alas, I hung my head, stood up to try to wake myself up. I can't possibly sleep in his bed, although in my very sleepy state, it looks so soft, so inviting. "Shuiwe, have you forgotten the leverage I hold over you? If you want it deleted, go sleep in the bed." When I woke up, it was already daybreak. As to why I woke up, it was because I was picked up. The pose was a Princess Carrie, and the location was Jing Mo's living room. I instinctively struggled, but he held me tightly, his gaze pressing down. "Do you want my parents to find out? I'm taking you upstairs now." As soon as the door opened, his parents' demonic voices rang out. Jing Mo quickly grabbed me and hid behind the door. Why is the door open? That kid never closes the door when he leaves. I'm super nervous right now. After all, Jing Mo and I were way too close, pressed against each other behind the door. If his mom took just 2 steps outside, she would see us. We were still in the Princess Carrie position, not daring to make a sound. Finally, the door closed. I quickly jumped out of Jing Mo's embrace and tiptoed toward the stairs, but after just 2 steps, my hand was grabbed. "Shuiwe, you're so heartless. I can't even go home for you, and you don't even show any gratitude. Why can't you go in? Just knock on the door." Before I could finish, Jing Mo suddenly pulled me up the stairs, and within 3 seconds, we were past the landing. 3 seconds later, the door of Jing Mo's house opened again. His mother poked her head out, looking puzzled. "Did I just hear my son talking to a girl?" Jing Mo looked at me, his long lashes hiding the meaning in his eyes, silently saying, "If I go back now, it will confirm that I was indeed talking to a girl at the door just now. Think about that video. You have to take me in." "Alright, Jing Mo ended up following me into my apartment after all. Hey, you said you'd delete the video if I went to bed. I looked at the boy lounging comfortably on the sofa. Jing Mo chuckled softly. That was just one of the conditions. So, what else do you want? Make me some breakfast, of course. Now it's my turn to be the serf. I turned and headed straight for the kitchen, ready to whip up some culinary disaster for him. Just as I was halfway through, a voice suddenly came from behind. What a mess you're making. If you can't do it, I'll show you. Things took an unexpected turn as he ended up teaching me how to cook step by step, and because of my carelessness, the knife accidentally cut his hand. I'm sorry. Seeing the blood dripping from his fingertips, I panicked and quickly pulled him over to sit on the sofa. Then I took out my first aid kit and started treating his wound. Even though we're rivals, I couldn't help but feel full of guilt and worry, repeatedly saying I'm sorry. Suddenly, a hand covered my head and gave it a gentle rub. Jing Mo's laughter came with a pleasant voice. It's okay. Strange, really strange. My rival isn't picking on me, and it feels a bit off. You're not really blaming me, are you? I looked up at him. Jing Mo's expression was surprisingly gentle. Did I cut him with a knife and make him stupid? Blame. This is another leverage point. 2 leverage points. How are you going to offset them? How to offset them? I was afraid he would make me the lowest of the low, the lowest of the slaves. Jing Mo crooked a finger, beckoning me closer. I leaned in, and he bent down to whisper in my ear, "Be my girlfriend. Are you crazy?" My ears instantly felt hot as I stared at him in disbelief. Look how flustered you are, Jing Mo said calmly. It's just to get my parents off my back. It's temporary, you get it. Oh. Even Jing Mo is being pressured by his family to date, but as far as I know, he hasn't had a girlfriend up until now. To eliminate any leverage and out of a bit of guilt for hurting him, I eventually agreed. He said to act more natural. We needed to get used to it first. How to get used to it? From that day on, Jing Mo started inviting me out every day, and he even often cooked and brought it up to me. Not to mention, his cooking is really good. I can eat 2 bowls of rice at once this time, he said. He wanted to play murder mystery. I don't remember much about the murder mystery, only that we played as a couple. He looked really handsome in a suit. Very, very handsome. I suspect he must have put some kind of spell on me. Otherwise, why on earth did I nod when he asked if he could kiss my forehead? The spell's effects are long-lasting. I even agreed when he said we needed a goodbye hug and a goodnight kiss in the evening. It's just a little cuddle, just a peck on the cheek. I can handle that. As long as it gets rid of that leverage he has over me, I can do it. A month later, after his parents had left and we still hadn't gone to deal with them, I finally caught on and asked him about it. He pinched my cheek and said, the best time to handle them is during the new year, so we have to wait a few more months. Just as I was about to ask him, Jing Mo took my hand and said, let's go. I'll make you some spicy crayfish when we get home. Wow, that sounds perfect. I absolutely love spicy crayfish. As soon as the holidays start, we go on a trip. On the plane, he reached around my head and gently rested it on his shoulder. I was so sleepy that I not only leaned in but also hugged his arm. Slept like a log. From leaving home to reaching the hotel, I pretty much slept through the entire journey. In the car, I relied on Jing Mo's half hugging, half supporting to keep me from bumping my head against the window. Upon arriving at the hotel, Jing Mo had booked 2 rooms, right next to each other. Exhausted from the journey, I stood at the room door with half-open eyes and heard Jing Mo's voice. Hug me. I felt like a robot, just wanting to finish the task so I could go to sleep, so I reached out and gave a quick hug. Where's the goodnight kiss? A shadow fell over me, and I leaned in, my lips lightly brushing his cheek, the other side too. As soon as his voice fell, I was about to throw a punch. I just want to sleep. Okay. Jing Mo seemed to anticipate my move, chuckled, kissed my cheek, and then pushed me into the room. Finally, I can sleep. After a quick wash, I was all set to blissfully sink into my cozy bed, but then, something caught the corner of my eye. When I looked closer, my blood ran cold. A snake, and such a thick one. I screamed, leapt back, my heart pounding, and scrambled to open the door and get out. Hearing my voice from the next room, Jing Mo rushed out and grabbed hold of me. What's wrong? By then, I was jolted, fully awake. I looked up at him fearfully and said, there's a snake. Oh my god, I'm terrified of snakes, and that one in the room was huge. It looked like it was about to become a monster. Jing Mo frowned as he glanced at my room, then pulled me into his, handing me a bottle of water to calm down. He quickly contacted the hotel staff to handle the snake-related issue. I'm really sorry to have startled you both. The staff arranged for someone to remove the snake, but I was too afraid to stay in that room again. The hotel was fully booked. No rooms available, so I had to share a room with Jing Mo. It's already been taken care of. Still scared, Jing Mo stepped in front of me, bent down, and gently brushed my bangs aside. I still felt uneasy. Well, I guess it's okay. I thought you were fearless. His voice carried a hint of teasing, but he quickly pulled me into his embrace. Sometimes I catch myself thinking, this whole temporary couple act feels a bit too real, but seeing how seriously he's taking it, I can't afford to lose either. Besides, it's kind of addictive. I woke up in Jing Mo's arms, a distance and posture that felt incredibly intimate. This would have been absolutely unthinkable before. Awake, Jing Mo's voice sounded by my ear. I pushed him away, and just as my brow began to furrow, he seemed to anticipate it and took out his phone. Look, who was the one who curled up in my arms on their own? In the phone screen, I was practically glued to Jing Mo's chest, my limbs refusing to budge. Alright, I had a nightmare about a giant snake last night, and I was scared. Jing Mo tapped my head, then swiftly deleted the recorded video. Since he planned the travel itinerary, I was pretty much following his lead. He even guided me on how to pose and took photos for me, which turned out surprisingly well. It was absolutely fantastic. Traveling with him was such a blast. All I had to do was show up, without a single worry. I got to enjoy stunning views, take beautiful photos, and savor delicious food. How come I never knew Jing Mo was like this before? Or is it that he only acts this way with his girlfriend, and now, as his temporary girlfriend, I'm the one enjoying all this? What are you thinking about? You're miles away. Jing Mo's voice pulled me back to reality. I snapped out of it, and his face was suddenly right in front of mine. I have to admit, Jing Mo is seriously handsome. His features, his nose and eyes, they're like works of art. Spacing out again, he pinched my cheek, his smile turning a bit wicked. Don't forget, I've got two things on you. Your job right now is to play the part of my girlfriend properly, not ignore me. What Jing Mo said was exactly what I kept telling myself, yet, hearing it from him stirred up a vague, inexplicable sense of melancholy in my heart. It's just playing the part of a girlfriend, that's all. After all, not long ago, we were sworn enemies, the kind who'd start bickering the moment we laid eyes on each other. I pushed those distracting thoughts to the back of my mind for the time being, and continued on with the rest of the itinerary with him. That evening, I accidentally had a bit too much to drink. By the time we got back to the hotel, the thoughts I had temporarily suppressed began to rise in my mind like steam. Jing Mo was guiding my unsteady self into the room, his arm around me, our bodies impossibly close. Oh no, the moment I realized his handsome face was the only thing in my vision, blotting out everything else, I knew I was in deep trouble. Good Lord, is the person in front of me really the same sworn rival from before? What do I do if I'm starting to have indecent thoughts about my arch-nemesis? The intoxication quickly rose as I stared at this face, and in my final moment of clarity, I said to the guy holding me, Jing Mo, you're done for. Jing Mo squinted slightly, not understanding why I suddenly blurted out such a thing. It wasn't until he noticed me clinging to him and starting to grope around. He chuckled softly at first, but soon frowned. What are you touching? Muscles. I gave it a squeeze. Well, it certainly felt like muscle. Pecs, abs, thigh muscles. Wait, something's not quite right. Shuyue, if you're going to grope someone recklessly, you'll have to take responsibility. Jing Mo's hand covered mine on his back, his touch surprisingly gentle. His voice was right by my ear, so very close. Then, the source of that voice must be close too. I tilted my head slightly and leaned toward those pale lips. Jing Mo froze for a moment, then his Adam's apple bobbed urgently. Before the storm of a kiss descended, he whispered in my ear, go ahead, touch me. After a night of it, I've had my fill of touching, but my mouth is a bit worse for wear. But that's not the main issue. What matters is that I saw Jing Mo post our photo from yesterday on Moments. What if everyone sees it? I still remember that being boyfriend and girlfriend is only temporary. Jing Mo opened his phone, tapped on the little person icon in front of me, and said, only you can see it. What's the point of posting this? I muttered. He chuckled softly, then leaned in, pressing his lips to the corner of mine. If it's set to public, doesn't it gain meaning? Jing Mo's hands gently cupped my cheeks as he looked into my eyes. So, are you willing? Oh no, my rival has completely transformed into a sweet, gentle sweetheart. What do? I can't take this anymore. Throughout my silence, his gaze never left me. Oh no, I can't even remember what he looked like before. All that's left is this version of Jing Mo before me, his eyes slightly curved. Such a space cadet, he said, ruffling my hair before gently pinching my lips with his fingertips. Shuyue, huh? I replied without thinking. Jing Mo placed his phone in front of me and began scrolling through the album. Come and look. I looked over. His slender finger swiped through the album. In the video folder, There were only a few clips recorded during our trip these past few days. I deleted the video from that night a long time ago. I don't care about cutting my finger. In other words, those two leverage points no longer exist. I looked at him, dazed. What do you mean? Are we ending our temporary couple relationship? Jing Mo's voice confirmed my suspicions. The situation with the leverage and the short-term girlfriend corresponds. If the leverage doesn't exist, then, he didn't finish his sentence. But I understood what he meant. Just as I was about to lower my eyes, Jing Mo suddenly moved closer, his hand tightly gripping my waist. Isn't it over already? Why are we this close? I looked at his face, trying to find traces of the former rival I once knew, but in the next moment, Jing Mo reached out and pinched my cheek, forcing my mouth open. Then he leaned down and kissed my lips. Sunlight streamed through the window, casting half of his face in clear light and the other half in shadow. Jing Mo's breath was hot, and the hand on my waist slid down to my hip, then gave it a light pat. My face flushed instantly, and my eyes widened as I looked at him. What are you doing? I accused. Jing Mo's lips curled into a slightly mischievous smile, suddenly reminding me of how he used to smile at me like that often. I took it as a provocation at the time. What am I doing? Then feel it again. Jing Mo tapped again. This time it was heavier than before, though not painful, but a crisp sound could be heard. I was so embarrassed and angry that I was about to punch him, but he easily caught my fist, his fingers forcefully straightening my curled ones, then holding my hand against his chest. Don't you like touching here? Then, Jing Mo picked me up with one hand, placing me on his lap, and gently pushed my lower back, making me lean against him. He gently kissed my lips, his hand softly caressing my back. Yes, it's all over, and we have no relationship. Jing Mo's voice was soft, but now, isn't there something a bit unclear between us? I looked up, meeting his eyes, as if drowning in a pool of spring water. So, Shuyue, shouldn't we establish a reasonable relationship? Can I be your boyfriend, a real one? Jing Mo placed his other hand on my cheek, gently stroking my face with his thumb. This time, no spacing out. Answer me. My eyes were glued to his face, thinking, this is it. It's all over. Whether it's the work of my sworn enemy or not, I don't care anymore. I straightened up slightly, cupping Jing Mo's handsome face, and kissed him resolutely. That's fine then. Jing Mo made the group photo on his social media feed public. Though it was quickly buried under a flood of newer posts, a few scattered individuals still managed to notice. For instance, our respective friends. We were both bombarded with messages from friends. Are you two for real? Isn't he your sworn enemy? Are you two together now? You didn't lose a game of truth or dare, did you? I've cracked the case. Holmes, this post is from 2 days ago, but as someone who loves scrolling through moments, I definitely didn't see this one, so, it must have been switched from private to public. Did you two have something going on for a while? Jing Mo pulled me in, took a photo together, and posted it to his social media feed again as a reply to them during the New Year holidays. We went together to meet his parents. When he first asked me to be his temporary girlfriend, it was just to get by, but now, when the time actually came, it somehow became real. His parents were overjoyed, grinning from ear to ear, and kept holding my hand to talk with me. That evening, we drove to the suburbs to set off fireworks. When we got out of the car, Jing Mo tightened my scarf and pulled my hat down a bit. Eager for the fireworks, I quickly found a corner and started lighting them. His parents joined in for a while, their faces beaming with smiles, but it was cold after all, and late, so they entrusted Jing Mo to take care of me and left first. Jing Mo and I set off all the fireworks in the big bag, then cuddled up together to watch the dazzling night sky on the way back. I realized we were heading towards our neighborhood. Won't we be staying at Uncle and Aunt's place? I thought we'd sleep there tonight, since it's still quite far. Jing Mo, stay at my place tonight. Oh, I wasn't too concerned, since my place is just upstairs from his, so it didn't matter where I slept. Entering the house, taking off my shoes, and removing my coat, everything was normal, until I stepped out of the bathroom after my shower and saw Jing Mo half lying on the bed. Looking particularly alluring, he finished showering before me and was now leaning against the headboard, shirtless. The blanket was pulled up to his abdomen, and under the warm lamplight, his well-defined muscles looked as if they were sculpted. This was a blatant seduction, wasn't it? I walked over, sat on his lap over the blanket, and lifted his chin, looking all coy like this. Was it on purpose? Jing Mo's eyes carried a hint of defiance, yet they seemed to melt like mist, filled with tenderness in their clear black and white. He obediently tilted his chin up slightly, his dark lashes lowering. Yes, so what will you do to me, sister? Ah, look at this tender little cabbage. It would be abnormal not to do something right now. I leaned my hand on the cushion behind him, burying my head close to his lips, almost touching but not quite. As his eyes grew hazy, I pulled back, my gaze falling on Jing Mo's Adam's apple. Jing Mo, you're really done for. As soon as the words left my mouth, I kissed him. Jing Mo's breath hitched for a moment, but the next second, his slightly hoarse voice sounded. He pulled me in with his arm, and in an instant, I was beneath the covers, skin pressed against his. Jing Mo's kisses descended upon me like a sudden summer night storm. In a brief pause, his breathing ragged, he said, "Then let's see which one of us breaks first tonight. Are you angry?" Jing Mo poked my cheek with his fingers, and I immediately turned my head away. He leaned in again and pulled me into his embrace. "This isn't my fault, it's a matter of the heart, you should understand me." Before he could finish his sentence, I interrupted him, glaring at him and pointing to a small piece of fabric at the foot of the bed. "So you tore it up. What am I supposed to wear now?" Lying forlornly at the foot of the bed was a pitiful pair of underwear, the torn fabric seemingly expressing its grievance. Jing Mo, the scoundrel, kissed my finger, then mysteriously pulled out a new piece of fabric from the wardrobe and presented it to me. I took a closer look and saw that it was white, adorned with small bows and lace trim. Although I bought underwear a few more times, I still recognize this batch as the one I bought during the artificial rain. I widened my eyes to look at Jing Mo, who naturally lifted my ankle to put it on for me. Actually, that day, there was one more, left on the windowsill of my